Number 106 on the calendar in the matter of Ward versus Price. Ward. Price has been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Ward, the defendant is your son, and the co-defendant is his fiancée or girlfriend.
Right.
You have children together?
Yes, ma'am. Not together. I have a son and she has a daughter.
But they live with you?
Yes, ma'am.
I've read your complaint very carefully, Mrs. Ward. This is your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you claim that your son assaulted you in his home, and that his fiancée was present, and while there's no claim that she assaulted you, she did nothing to prevent it.
Correct.
I don't know why you're standing up as a plaintiff, just to give moral support to your wife, sir?
Well, not only moral support, but I was there also because I wanted to stop the situation with my
You
boy.
were there on the evening of this alleged
Yes, I
assault
was.
with your wife?
Yes, I was.
Why were you and your wife at your son's home?
Okay, my wife had called my son up. She wanted to talk to him. This is through a prior conversation she'd been trying to deal with him for a while.
About what, Mrs. Ward?
Go ahead.
About the TV and the VCR.
Tell me about the TV and the VCR.
My son and his wife then were having problems. Sean had sold everything in his house. He didn't have a good job like he does now. I mean, he was doing piecework.
Just a second. I read your complaint very carefully. Let me see if I can make this,
Okay.
because this is just a background to the story.
Okay.
Your son came to live with you for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
He was supposed to pay you rent, $50 a week.
Right.
He didn't pay you the rent.
No, ma'am.
Exactly.
I did pay.
Shh.
Okay.
You claimed he didn't pay you the rent. And you said, when you move, you leave me the TV and the VCR for the rent. And then when he moved out, he took the TV and the VCR.
Yes, ma'am.
And the reason you and your husband went over there that night was to take back the TV and the VCR.
Yes, ma'am.
Now tell me what happened when you got there.
They were eating dinner. So we went in the living room while they was eating and watched TV. The children were there too, eating. They got done, came in and gave us a hug. You know, and Michelle was getting them ready for bed. And so Sean says, well, you're here. What do you want to talk about? And I said, the TV and VCR. He said, I knew that's what it was going to be about. And he stood up. He says, I do not owe you anything, Mom. Nothing. And I want you out of the house. Well, I have a book right here where I kept notes. And his signature is on it. And I said, son, I have proof. I opened the book. And that's when he stood up and got very angry at me. And told me to, I don't know the words he said, to get out.
Get out of the house.
And actually, I didn't really believe him. I mean, he's my baby son, and I believe in his
Just a
word.
minute. So he told you to leave his house at least twice?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
And I said, you're kidding, Sean. He said, I'm not kidding. Blah, blah. He said some other words. And I said, then I'll go up and get it myself. I know I can't. Look at me, how much I weigh. I know I couldn't get it myself.
Where was your husband during all this time?
Can I speak? I was in the living room.
So you were in the living room. So your
Yes.
wife was going to go upstairs and take the TV and the VCR. That's what she said she was going to do anyway.
That's correct.
So she started up the stairs, and what happened? Mrs. Ward.
Well, as she proceeded to start upstairs, first of all, I was shocked on the whole situation, the anger he threw at his mother. As I seen this anger, I just kind of looked at him and said, you know, you shouldn't talk to your mother that way because she is your mother, irregardless, you know, what she says or does. She proceeded to go upstairs. I went with her upstairs to slow her down and said, honey, I think we might as well go ahead and leave. And she says, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay right here till he either gives me the VCR and the TV. And at that point, he says, well, I'm going to call the sheriff. She said, well, go ahead and call the sheriff. And he just got angry at that point. He says, well, the heck with it. As I was proceeding to hold her back a little bit from proceeding upstairs, then he turned around and got angry and turned around and said, well, by God, I'll get her out. Then he jerked her off the step, holding onto the steps, threw her on his back. I told him, do not hurt your mother. He says, oh, I'm going to put her out if that's the only way I can get her out. Then I heard a big old thud in the living room, and I come running in there. She had hit the floor. I don't know if he dropped her or what happened. She was really hurt, and at that time she was speechless. She was shocked, and she says, I am going on my own. You don't need to manhandle me anymore.
Incorrect.
So he proceeded to pick her up by the arm, straight up, head on out the door, all the way to the car, slammed her into the car. She hit her head on the door as she went in. And at that time, he just said, this is where you're going to stay. Get out of here. So that's as far as it went. Why I didn't do anything. People says, well, why didn't you get a pipe and hit him over the head? First of all, he's my son. I do love him. I love my wife both. They're trying to make a choice so quickly, and I'm not really much of a match to go jumping ahead and start doing something to my son again to his house. So there's a lot of thoughts that had to go through my head. And
was your wife drinking that day?
No, she was not.
She had anything to drink of an alcoholic nature? Just
No,
make sure.
she doesn't.
She don't drink. She might drink a little something. It wasn't alcohol.
Okay, so this was not alcohol related. She was in total control of her senses
It was drug
when she
induced.
came to your house. Is that right?
Drug-induced, not alcohol.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That was part of the deal.
Deal, Schmiel, listen to
I
me.
gave him a place to live, Your Honor.
Big deal. He's your child.
And later today,
The relationship was quite expensive.
He gave me a promise ring.
She was constantly asking for money.
He promised to marry me.
I felt that I was being taken advantage of, literally.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donna Ward says her son, Sean Ward, assaulted her while she was visiting his home. Sean says his mother was belligerent and refused to leave.
You take prescription
Yes,
medication?
ma'am,
Yes.
I do.
Now, you have photographs of your injuries?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to
we
see
do.
them. The marks that I see on your arms are consistent with being picked up by your arms.
Yes, ma'am.
That was your injury.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I'm going to let you tell me your side of the story, Mr. Ward.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, the case is dismissed for all purposes against Miss Price because she did not participate in this, other than to stand by and do nothing, which is the same thing you did, Mr. Ward. She's not even married to him. You're married to her. Why would you sue Miss Price?
Because I felt like, just like he did, tried to get Sean to calm down. I was hoping that maybe she...
Your
I don't
husband
know.
didn't come to your defense. Why would a stranger?
Not for me, for her husband. I thought maybe she would ask Sean to stop. I mean... That's all.
She's not a party to this case.
Okay.
So, tell me your version of the events. Your mother came to get...
Yes,
your mother
ma'am.
came?
My mother came to the house. I had paid them $100 a week instead of the $50 that she was agreed on to pay. So therefore, she knew the TV was paid for. She let me take it on wheel out the house. The only reason that I had any confrontation with her at all, because both my 5- and 6-year-old kids were standing in the living room, that she had asked for them to be present. I thought maybe she had a health problem that she was getting ready to tell us about. And when she did come up with that situation, I did get angry, but I did stand up and ask them both to leave. I opened both the doors, and I said, well, y'all need to leave. And I might have said it a little meaner, to get out of my house.
Right.
They would not leave.
Ultimately, you picked her up and put her out of the house.
Yes, ma'am, I picked her up
And
off
that's
the
what
steps.
and that's what the marks are on her arm.
That possibly could be.
All right. This part of the case is pretty easy. Mr. and Mrs. Ward, you are not entitled to any damages. You entered his home with his permission.
Exactly.
Then he asked you to leave. You refused to leave. At that point, you are trespassing on his property. He asked you to leave again. You still would not leave. The law permits him, as I'm sure the judge told you in court when you were there on the criminal case, that he has the right to use reasonable force. He can't shoot you. He can't stab you. But he can physically take you and move you out of his property, which is exactly what he did. Now, the fact that I don't understand why you are there trying, if your son is finally back on his feet, and he's now got a good job, and he's got a home, and he's got 2 kids that he's taking care of, why in the world you would make a big deal out of a television set and an old VCR, I haven't a clue.
Okay.
But I'm not going into that.
Okay.
Because there's no logical reason why you would go to his house and create a scene with 2 children there to get back a TV and a VCR that you think was owed to you for rent.
I did not. I let the children go upstairs. I've asked him without the children being around.
I don't know why you would ask for it at all.
Because, ma'am, that was part of the deal. It's
Deal, Schmiel, listen to
I
me.
gave him a place to live, Your Honor.
Big deal. He's your child.
I know, and I'm his mom. I did
don't
not
hurt.
want to do this.
Well, you shouldn't have done
Sean knows in his heart that he said, I believed in his word. And if you
Mrs.
can't-
Ward,
Yes, ma'am.
how many children do you have?
I have 7.
If your child has not been doing well for a while, as you said, he hasn't been, he'd been in and out of your house, and he was finally, according to you, finally got a good job and back on his feet, what mother in her right mind would say, now I'm going to take the television set that you watch and the VCR that you watch or that the children watch in their
Ma'am.
room? There's no excuse.
Can I
You
say-
could talk from today till tomorrow. I have children.
I know.
And for $250, you went to the house to make a scene?
No,
That's
ma'am,
it.
I did not intend to make any kind of
Of course
scene.
you did. Because
No,
once
ma'am.
he said to you, I'm here for the TV and the VCR, and he said, I don't want to talk about
I
that.
only
Please
started
leave. Then you decided to go upstairs and you said, I'm going to take it myself. That's creating a scene.
I didn't think that I was very smart, Your Honor.
Oh, fine,
But he had
good.
gotten a big, huge television. And I figured that he knew we were down. That TV would have helped us. We were down and there was nobody helping us.
Stop it. He's not, your children aren't supposed to help you. You're supposed to help them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donna Ward says her son, Sean Ward, assaulted her while she was visiting his home. Sean says his mother was belligerent and refused to leave.
You were arrested for assault,
Yes, ma'am.
and those charges were dismissed.
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume that they were dismissed, Mr. Ward, because they ultimately determined that you had the legal right to put your mother off the
Correct.
property.
Correct on
Is
her
that
own
right?
testimony. I didn't even have to testify.
Right. You can't sue her.
Right.
Here, you can't sue her.
Correct.
The district attorney determined that there was sufficient evidence to go to trial with, because your mother had your fingerprint marks on her arms.
Correct.
Why she proceeded that far, I don't know, but she did. So you have no right to sue her for false arrest because you did, in fact, put your hands on her. You weren't in fear of your life from your mother.
No,
you weren't in fear of life, and certainly not from
No,
your
ma'am.
father, because he didn't do anything.
No, ma'am. I intended no harm, and due respect to you and her, I do love my mother. Only thing I have here is the bills that I had to pay, my lawyer bills,
You
and
shouldn't have put your hands on your mother.
then been out.
You shouldn't have put
You're
your,
absolutely
You
correct,
shouldn't have
ma'am.
put
But
your hands
I
on
was
your mother.
looking
Pay your
forward-
own bills.
I was looking forward
Case
to
is
my
dismissed.
kids.
That's all.
All these are excuses. You may step out.
I have always believed in his word, and if you can't stand by your word, what else do you have?
He's upset with the fact that he's siding with his mother, I mean, which no person wants to be, and I just wish it would all be over with.
I would like us to be a family. I don't know if that's possible.
What I wanted was just my name to be cleared, and that happened. So I'm very happy about it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brown versus Valero. Step forward, please.
Home health care provider Greg Brown is suing his ex-fiancée, insurance claims assistant Christina Valero, for an unpaid loan. Christina says Greg forgave the loan when they began dating.
Mr. Brown, you claim a loan to the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
When she was in some financial difficulty.
Yes, ma'am.
The loan was for rent. The loan was for, I think, $2,300.
Yes, ma'am.
You were paid back $200 from a relative of hers.
Yes, ma'am.
With an outstanding balance of $2,100.
Yes, ma'am.
However, she says that you forgave that loan after you started dating. Is that what your defense is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When did you meet her, Mr. Brown?
Early September,
Of what year?
2001, ma'am.
And when did you make this loan for the rent, and under what circumstances?
She came to me, she gave me a phone call and said that she was going to be thrown out of her apartment. I gave her the loan under the conditions that she would sign an IOU and pay me back.
Can I see it, please? I assume that's the piece of paper you have.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I typed that letter, and,
I wasn't speaking to you.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, as we persisted on our friendship, grew into a relationship. The relationship was quite expensive. She was constantly asking for money. $100 here, $100 there. I felt that I was being taken advantage of, literally. So she had told me that she was going to a dinner party with her company in Santa Rosa, and she was supposed to come back that night.
When was that, sir?
That was September 28th, I believe.
Still during the month of September?
Yes, yes. She refused to come back because she said she fell asleep in her car and was there all night. Well, I'm not exactly a fool, so I figured that she was doing something she wasn't supposed to do. At that time, I figured her irresponsibility to the relationship was not what I was looking for, so I dismissed it.
So you terminated the
Yes,
relationship?
I did.
Okay, and you asked her back for the money?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'll hear from you, Miss Valero.
We started as friends, and I was in a financial difficulty at that time, and he offered that he would help us.
Who's us?
My daughter, my sister-in-law here, my son.
Go ahead.
I even typed a promissory note thinking that I would really pay him. And then he said, we went out to dinner, and he said he's interested in me. And we started dating, and then he gave me a promise ring, which is this.
All in the month of September?
Yes.
Go ahead, keep going.
And then on my birthday, he gave me this.
When's your birthday?
December.
Now we're jumping to December.
Well, the whole month of November, we were fine. Then we broke up for maybe 2-3 weeks because of that incident that I went out with my friends.
Could you get to your defense, please? I'm really anxious.
He promised to marry me. He asked me to marry him.
Yes, when did he ask you to marry him?
Like November.
And what did you say?
And I said, okay, we'll if our relationship is going good,
I'm waiting for the defense.
Please.
Finally, all of a sudden, he told me that his mother died. I tried calling him.
I'm getting weak. Would you tell me what your defense is, madam?
There is.
He disappeared on me.
Yes.
And he told me that when we were together, the loan is gone.
He said if the relationship gets that deeper, you don't have to pay me back the money.
Yes.
So it didn't get that deep. So you have to pay him back the money. What is
Yes,
so hard
Your
to
Honor.
understand?
Yes, Your Honor, it got deeper because we tried looking for a house, and we were talking about marriage.
So?
He even put away an engagement ring for me.
It sounds like he was a very nice man. He's not asking you for the jewelry back.
He is.
No. He isn't. Not in this lawsuit.
Yes,
He's
he
not.
told my sister-in-law here.
He's not
that he
asking for
wanted-
it. Listen, this is his one shot at a lawsuit. He's not asking for the jewelry back. He knows that was a gift.
That's right.
He knows he can't get the jewelry back. Jewelry that looks very nice on you, and I'm sure you enjoy wearing. This was a loan. And if he forgave the loan, what you do is you say, if you forgive the loan, Greg, If you forgive the loan, could I have the IOU back that I signed and I typed, and I'd like to rip it up. We'll have a ripping up IOU party. That's what you do when he forgives the loan. Meanwhile, you have to pay back his money. Stop being a gold digger and a taker. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. That's all.
Now, this is case number 156 on the calendar in the matter of Gray versus Ashpole. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Gray, you and the defendant dated briefly while she was separated from her husband. And according to your complaint, during that time, you made 2 loans to her. The first loan was for an attorney, and the second was to catch up on a mortgage payment. The defendant says you never made any loans to her, but did give her money. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Now, when did you meet her?
It was during bowling season.
I don't know when bowling season is, sir.
About 2001.
Excuse me?
In the fall.
Can you get any closer by, say, month?
Okay, August, how's that?
August of 2001.
Yes, and we were just friends up at the bowling alley, sitting there talking and, joking around. Eventually, right around St. Patrick's Day. All right.
We're going to have a conversation here, which means you'll talk and then I'll talk.
Okay.
Did you meet her at bowling?
She was a waitress, I was bowling, yes.
When did you separate from your husband?
In June.
So you were separated at the time that you met the plaintiff, is that right?
No, we were friends when I was at work. So I knew him while I was still married, yes.
But in August of 2001 is when you started to date him?
No.
When?
May of 2001.
And when did you separate from your husband?
In June.
Okay. Shh. When was this loan for a lawyer?
Roughly August 2001.
Is that right?
July of 2001.
Now, I'd like you to tell me the circumstances surrounding that, sir. You're not very good at dates. Let's see if you're better at the substantive part of it.
I'm the lawyer. She come up to me and she was having trouble and she wanted a divorce from her husband.
But you were dating at that time?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I had a good lawyer friend that I referred her to, and he cut her a deal and gave her half of the retainer fee. So I gave her the $750 in cash so she could go get things taken care of. And at that point, I made her understand it was still a loan to her, not a gift.
How did you make that clear, sir?
Just by talking and told her what I said.
I want you to tell me what you said and what she said.
She told me she would pay me back within a reasonable short amount of time.
She said she would pay you back?
Yes, she did.
Now, what's your version of the lawyer's story?
The lawyer's story is that he had this great friend that worked on his divorce case, and I needed to get this started. And he gave me the money.
Now, what did you say to him and what did he say to you?
Let me give you the money. Let me help you. Let me give you the money to get it. Otherwise, where are you going to be? You're not going to have an attorney. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at you. You're not going to have an attorney without any money. Let me help you. Mm-hmm. There was nothing ever about any loan.
Well, why would he?
Any payback?
Why would he give you that money? Why would you not expect to
pay it back? He wanted my divorce.
You wanted a divorce. Why?
Well, I think actually he wanted it probably more than I did.
No. No. Why would you think that you should not pay him back?
Because I didn't, at that particular time, I did not have the means to pay him back, and he knew that. I had told him that, and then this is also about the mortgage.
So we didn't get to the mortgage
I know,
yet.
but I knew that I have 3 children. I'm not getting child support. I'm a working mom. I'm not going to give up my home. At one point, I even had 3 jobs to support my means.
Okay. Now tell me about the mortgage payments, sir.
Well, she was
That's the
behind,
second loan.
She was behind 3 months in her mortgage.
How did you know that?
She told me.
Where were you when she told you that?
We were probably just sitting in her bedroom.
Go ahead.
And she said she was 3 months behind. And she asked if I could help her out. And I said, yes, I can. But again, I loaned her the money and I made the payments.
Now I'll hear you.
I have never asked him to give me money. I have never asked him to loan me money. I never asked him for anything. We might have been sitting on my bed talking, and I was venting because I was very upset. I was behind. I was not getting any help from my husband that had moved out. But I had never asked him for anything.
You told him that you were 3 months behind in your mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm.
How did he pay the mortgage payment?
Actually, I was paying bills, writing things out.
On the bed?
Because I had it out, right. I was paying my other bills that I could afford to pay. I could not afford to pay this. He took the statement out of my hand, picked up the phone, and made a check over the phone to pay the mortgage. And I was telling him,
Is that
no,
right, sir? You paid
please
it over
do
the
not
phone?
do that.
I made it by Visa, yes.
You made it by Visa over the phone?
Yes.
And I kept saying, please do not do that. Because if I would have had anything to do with this, I would have at least made him make sure that he paid the right amount. Because he didn't pay the whole thing.
How much was the mortgage?
$3,000.
Your Honor, I would like to also say some other things that I have here.
Go ahead.
After my husband had left, we've never lived together, but Tim never went home. He asked me if he was getting low on his check. Should he reorder some and put them in my address? I told him no, it was too soon. I did not think that this was a good idea. To go open my mailbox 2 weeks later to find a box of checks in his name only in my address. He has also bought siding to my shed that I told him to return.
So?
I also fixed a lot of stuff in the house. Shortly after her husband
You
left.
cared for her.
Oh, yes, I care very much. And
Did you follow through with your divorce?
It's in the works right now.
What happened to the two of you? Just curious.
well, she couldn't handle my kids. My kids are very outspoken. They tell it as it is, and that's the way I raised them.
Just a second.
The raised,
Maybe they're just rude.
no, this is the way we were. We just, told it as this. And she just couldn't handle the way they were.
How old are your children?
I got 4, 22, 21, 19, and 16. And, I love them dearly. And she couldn't handle it, so she, went her way a little while. Before I knew that, she was starting to date another guy from the bar. Past I heard that she was back with her husband again, from what I heard, and here I am.
Is that true?
No, it's not.
You heard wrong.
Yep, okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was very manipulative in what she did a lot of things on.
That's not what you told me.
But I
before.
don't loan that type of money without.
Yes, you do. You do if you're in love.
And later today,
Mr. Bridges, what date did they take the computer home?
Forgive me. Oh, great. I'm a little nervous. I apologize.
Don't be nervous. I only eat litigants on Tuesdays.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tim Gray says ex-girlfriend Lisa Ashpole owes for a loan to retain a divorce attorney and a separate loan to pay her mortgage. Lisa says Tim was attempting to buy her love.
Mr. Gray?
Yes.
I am usually not predisposed to finding that monies paid under these circumstances are gifts. I'm usually predisposed to find that even under these circumstances, there is some obligation to repay money. Because if I find that one person is trying to get over on another, I think there's a certain inequity there. If you care for her more than she cares for you, and she's using that and is sort of bilking you for money, I think that that's an immoral thing, and that shouldn't happen. I don't get the sense of that here, sir. I really don't. What I do is sense, Mr. Gray, that you cared for her. You wanted her not to be stressed. You knew she was hardworking, and she was trying to make ends meet. She wasn't getting much money from her husband, the father of these children, and you wanted to help her because you cared for her. You had checks printed with her address. You planned on moving in to her home. You planned on being a family together. So I don't believe that under those circumstances you would have said to her, this is a loan.
But
I don't believe that that happened, sir. I believe that when she was sitting on the bed and being very unhappy because she had all of this mounting debt, you, in a very magnanimous way, like a hero, got up, went to the phone, called your Visa, and said, I want you to pay this bill.
that wasn't the way it happened.
I think it probably was, Mr. Gray.
She was very manipulative in what she did a lot of things on.
That may be true, sir. That's not what you told me.
But I
before.
don't loan that type of money without.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You do if you're in love. You do if you're in love. You say, I want us to be together, and I want us to have a future together, and I don't want you to be stressed, and I want to show you that I can help take care of you, and that's what I'm going to do. And I believe that's what you did, Mr. Gray. And while my rulings usually do not go this way, I don't believe she was being manipulative. I believe that you were being in love and reacting appropriately, and unfortunately it didn't work out.
Maybe
You say
I
it was
was.
because of your kids. Maybe it was. But certainly, I don't believe she was being manipulative. I think that in the time that you were together, I think that she probably cared for you. Is that true?
Well, she cared, but she also agreed that she would pay me back.
I don't believe that, Mr. Gray. Your case is dismissed.
Excuse you may step out.
They're just outspoken.
I don't have a problem with outspokenness because I can be very outspoken as well.
Do I threw her away and got her way out of it again?
The 16-year-old slapped my 6-year-old and left a big welt on his buttocks. Yeah.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Beausoleil versus Bridges. Step forward, please.
Doll artist Carol Beausoleil is suing computer business owner Jeff Bridges for a refund on a computer. Carol says Jeff sold an outdated computer to her minor son.
Miss Beausoleil, where's your son?
He didn't come because he's afraid to go on planes, and he just felt really awkward, and,
How old is he?
17.
He didn't come because he's embarrassed. I can understand why you would be embarrassed under the circumstances of this case.
Oh, okay,
According to your
yeah, you're
complaint, Miss Beausoleil, your son wanted a computer, and he had a friend who worked in a computer store. Two of you discussed it and thought it would be a good idea for him to go to the computer store where his friend works. Are you the friend?
Yes.
For him to buy a computer, a used computer, because he needed it for the internet.
Right.
So he went with his friend to the computer store owned by the defendant and was sold a used computer with a monitor. The whole package was $420?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning. And you say the computer crashed at some point and you want your money back.
Yeah.
What date did you sell the boy the computer?
So you mean it?
Yes. I'm looking at you. I'm talking to you.
Sorry. I sold it on March 28th of 2002, and it was a used computer system.
Okay. You told him it was used.
Yes, I did.
Did he give you a deposit?
Yes, he gave me a $50 deposit.
Did he take the computer with him?
No, not right away.
So he really put it on layaway?
Yes.
Now, when your son came home, your son was 17 at the time?
Yeah.
Did you discuss with your son that he had found a computer that he liked and he put a $50 deposit on it?
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So did you go down to the computer store
Yes.
to look at it?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, it looked brand new.
Well, you knew it wasn't brand new. You
No,
knew it was used.
It was a few years old.
When did you take the computer home?
It was about a month after we brought it home.
Just to answer my questions. Your son isn't here,
Okay.
so I have to do this my way. Mr. Bridges, what date did they take the computer home?
Forgive me. Oh, great. I'm a little nervous. I apologize.
Don't be nervous. I only eat litigants on Tuesdays. This is Tuesday.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carol Beausoleil says business owner Jeff Bridges sold a worthless computer to her minor son.
Go ahead.
Okay. 328 is what I have.
328 is the first payment of $50,
Oops,
Mr. Bridges.
I'm sorry. Actually, Your Honor, if I may show these to you, because
Why, if you can't find it, why are you giving it to me? I don't get paid to get tortured, Mr. Bridges.
Well,
she
you know-
says it was a month later, so let's say it was a month later.
Okay,
They
yeah.
made the final payment, you gave them the computer.
Yes.
All right, now, Ms. Beausoleil, you now bring the computer home. Who made the last payment, you or your son?
I gave my son the money to go and put down.
All right, after you had already been there to see it.
Right.
Fine.
if I may, Your Honor, she actually came into the store to make the last payment and a check.
Well, you had to bring it in the car. We had to,
Oh, so you went and made the last payment.
with my son.
Fine. No, you went. You're the adult. Your son is a minor. He cannot enter into a
Right,
contract.
right, okay.
That's the problem. If your son had gone in there alone, Mr. Bridges might have had a problem. But your son didn't go there alone. He went there with you, Miss Beausoleil.
Right.
You knew you weren't getting any guarantee with the computer.
Oh, yeah, there's a guarantee. I have a guarantee here.
Let me see it.
And I have this over here that I underlined.
Let's see what the guarantee is. Well, where's the guarantee?
At the very bottom.
It says all repairs are guaranteed for 30 days.
I mean, as far as the warranty, too. There's a warranty on it.
Listen, help me out here. Just let her point it to you, Bird. You can point it to me, and then make my life easier.
May I speak? Okay, sorry.
Okay, he reassured me. I mean, because we were going to have it fixed, and then...
Miss Beausoleil, there was no warranty with this computer. The piece of paper that you gave me said that all repairs done by them are guaranteed for 30 days. You have a document there that does not have a warranty. Is that correct?
Okay, but on the day we picked it up, from that date on, we still had the 30 days.
No! You don't have 30 days. You didn't have a computer repaired. You bought a computer, a used computer that came without a warranty, which is exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's getting harder. Now, you bring the computer home.
Mm-hmm.
What happened when you got it home?
So he set everything up. The technician helped him. And then the system stated it wasn't internet ready, that he needed a lot more RAM. So that was fine. So Linus offered his assistance and added these few things for the computer. And then when I called Jeffrey...
Linus? Is that your name?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, that's my
Yes
son's
is all
name.
I need from you. So
then
he
I-
came over and he added stuff for the,
Yeah,
to the
which was
computer.
nice. I mean, we didn't think there was a problem with the computer.
Good.
We thought it
Next.
just needs a few RAMs. So then I called Mr. Bridges to tell him, and he says, well, you know what, Carol, the new modem, it's in the mail. It hasn't arrived yet, but you can use the one we have. But, I just closed my business. He was open for a month. And I figured, well, we'll
Did
just
it
have
work? Listen to me. Did it work after Linus put in the RAMs or doodads or whatever it did? Did it work?
It was
for a day, for 2 days, for 5 days.
It worked for some game procedures, but it was very slow.
I don't care if it was slow or not.
Yeah.
It's an old thing, as my husband says. When he has a computer and it's more than 6 months old, he says to me, oh, it's a dinosaur. I need a new computer.
Yeah.
But it worked.
Yeah.
So what are you complaining about?
Well, when I talked to DSL, they said they couldn't, that we couldn't deal with DSL. So in other words, my son couldn't go on internet. He couldn't go on the internet.
What do you want from me? What do you want from Mr. Bridges? You should have made all of these inquiries before
we
you bought
did,
the computer. Before you bought the computer. You bought a computer that did not have any warranties whatsoever on it.
Yeah, but he gave me his phone number and said, Carol, if anything goes wrong, just give me a call. So I did. He hung up on me. I had to call the police, and then he did.
What'd you call the police for?
Because he called me a controlling, and he pressed the button. He pressed the button.
So
and it's
you
like,
bothered the police with that?
No, but it seems like when he sold the computer, and after we had it in our house, oh, well, no big deal. I mean,
That's what happens. He's a merchant. Miss Beausoleil, do your homework better the next time. If you buy something that's used, especially a computer, what I suggest you do is, I suggest you read all kinds of magazines, get a hold of consumer reports, get a hold of everything else, and make an informed judgment. When you're buying something used, it's no different from buying it off the street, unless you get a guarantee from someone that they will honor repairing, maintaining it, or whatever for a period of time.
Well,
The fact that he went out of business, he doesn't have to stay in business to satisfy you. If he can't make a living, he's entitled to go out of business.
Yeah.
You bought a computer with no recourse because you have no guarantee. And anything that's not in your contract, the fact that he gave you his phone number, you cannot amend a written contract, which is what you have, with an oral statement, call me if you have any problems. That's what everybody says. That's like the check is in the mail. You know, call me with any problems. Ms. Mosley, you should be wise enough not to get involved with something like this.
But see, it was because of Linus being my son's friend. Linus knows more about computers. My son is kind of illiterate when it comes to computers.
Then buy him a new computer with a guarantee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Case is dismissed.
Now, this is case number 160 on the calendar in the matter of Barrientos versus Randolph. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Barrientos, the defendant was or is your sister's boyfriend?
Correct.
Is he currently her boyfriend?
Yes.
Your complaint is that he and your sister had some sort of an argument, and later on that day you became, or the next day you became involved, and you claim he assaulted you.
Correct.
You want him to pay for your medical bills and for pain and suffering as a result of the assault. Mr. Randolph says he was merely defending himself. So why don't you tell me how this problem started with your sister?
Well, on the evening of June 5th, 2001, my sister Gloria and my nieces came to my house stating that there had been an argument at their home between Joanne and Sam.
So you have how many sisters?
4.
So some of your sisters came to you and told you...
No, just my one sister Gloria and my 2 nieces, which are Joanne's daughters.
Told you that your sister, Joanna...
Correct.
Had an argument with her boyfriend, and it had gotten physical?
Correct.
And what did they want you to do?
And they wanted me to call the cops.
Why couldn't they call the police?
Well, because they said that Samuel had pulled the cords from the phones at the house. So my sister asked me to call the police and have them sent over to their house.
You did that?
I did that, yes, correct.
And then what did you do?
And at that time, I left my sister and my nieces at my home, and I went to my sister's house. And upon arriving there, my sister was there, hysterical, and their house was wrecked because Samuel had broken stuff in their house. And the cops got there, and she gave her statement, and I told her that my sister and her other 2 children were at my home, and to get her, and I asked her if she wanted to go to my house to get some belongings together, come to my house, at which time we did. And
so Joanne came back to your house. Where's Joanne, by the way? That's you.
And when we got to my home, we sat down and talked about the incident, and she said that she was...
Why don't you step up here, please? Let me bring you back to June 5th. You had an argument with Mr. Randolph?
Yes. Well, it was between my sister and him, but I, got in it and I broke it up, because I didn't want them to argue, it's family.
Ultimately, you got into an argument with Mr. Randolph?
Yes.
Did it become physical?
No.
That's not true?
No, physical, no.
He did throw things around the house?
In the house? Yeah, the house was messed up. But
so it became physical. It wasn't just a verbal fight. It became physical. Did he rip the phone cord out of the wall?
No.
Well, then why would somebody have to travel?
When I called David, I did tell him, that what was going on at the house and stuff. And I was probably the one that ended up calling the cops because I didn't want, for David to get there or for anything that, get any worse than it was already.
Joanne, I understand that you're sitting on this side of the table, which is the defendant's side. But I want to bring you back to June the 5th. Were you upset?
Yes, I was.
Were you frightened?
No.
Did you spend the night at your brother's house?
Yes, I did.
Why did you spend the night at your brother's house if you weren't frightened?
Early in the morning. I had to be at work at 4 in the morning.
So?
So I didn't want to be late. I wanted to go and get some rest before I had to go to work.
Joanne, let me explain something to you. You have to say things that make sense. What time do you go to work every morning?
At 4 in the morning.
4. And do you sleep at your brother's house every night?
No, I don't.
You sleep at your house every night?
Yes.
So on this particular night, you just told me you wanted to stay there because you didn't want to be late.
Because my kids were already at his house. I wasn't going to run my kids back home and then back over there. It was
How
already
long
late.
does it take?
Like 25 minutes.
He says it takes less, right?
Correct.
All right. But even if it takes 25 minutes, you take your kids home so that your kids are sleeping in their own bed. So you stayed at your brother's house because you were upset. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
All right. And your brother was going to take you to work in the morning?
Yes.
Did you have your own car?
Yes, I did.
Where was your car?
Gloria took it to go to the house.
So your car was at your brother's house?
Yes, it was.
And yet your brother took you to work the next day, which is when this incident happened.
Yes.
Why did your brother take you to work the next day instead of you driving yourself?
Because I was going to lend Gloria the car, that's why.
Is that why?
Yes.
Why did you take her to work?
Because she had the kids to go to school.
Why did you take her to work?
Because she said she was afraid of Samuel because he had threatened her, and we locked her vehicle in my garage, Your Honor.
You locked it in the garage, why?
Because he had been calling my home all that evening and passing by my house, and she said that she wanted to leave because of that fact, and I told her, don't worry, we'll lock your car in my garage, and I will take you to work in the morning.
Fine. And is that what you did?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened when you got there?
Upon arriving at Sam's Club, we saw his vehicle parked there, and Joanne got, started
You were
getting
at the
hysterical.
place 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, I was.
What were you doing there at 4 o'clock in the morning?
I figured I'd go there earlier to try and resolve, you know, see why she left, because the argument wasn't even between me and her.
She left, so you went there at 4 o'clock in the morning.
To talk to her to see why she was so caught up.
And what happened when you got there?
When we got there, Joanne got off her car and she ran into her job. And
just a minute. When you got there, did you all see his car?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
She didn't go up to his car?
No, she did not.
Is that right?
Yes.
Why didn't you go up to his car?
Because I was going to work. I wasn't.
You mean you didn't?
I had 5 minutes to get in there, and I was not about to go and talk in the parking lot. Well, my manager was waiting.
Not even to say hello. Not even to say hello.
No, my manager's waiting for me at the door to go in. He closes the door after I get in.
All right, stop. You think I believe you? Do you think I believe you? Think anybody believes the story that you're giving me? You went into the place because you were at that moment afraid of him and didn't want any confrontation with him. That's why you ran into your place of business. Go ahead.
And after that, she ran into her job, and I went over to the car and I approached Samuel.
You went over to his car?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Barrientos, that's your first mistake. But let's take it from there.
Okay,
Getting out of your car and going over to his car was your first mistake. What happened when you got over to his car?
When I got to his car, I was telling him that why was he there stalking my sister and waiting for her at 4 o'clock in the morning, and why does he continue to bother my family? Why can't he just leave my family alone? And he said that he was not going to leave my sister alone, that it was his fiance. And I said, no, she's not your fiance. He said, yes, she is. And he continued arguing, and we continued arguing about the incident. I told him, look, Samuel, I told him, I'm tired of all the abuse you've been giving my sister. I mean, I've never gotten involved with you guys before, but this has gone too far, and, you know, I'm just tired, and why don't you just move on and leave them alone? And he stated that he was not going to leave them alone, and that he had a gun in the car, and that he had a gun in the car which he was going to shoot me and my sister. And at that time, I gave my sister my cell phone to call 911, and when I turned over, he punched me, he got me by my shirt, and he slapped me into the corner edge of his door, at which time I dazed out, and he continued hitting me and threw me on the floor. He just continued hitting me on the floor. My sister came on, she yelled that she had called 911, at which time he got up and got in his car and left.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I grabbed him by his shirt, I threw him against the car, he falls to the ground, and that's when the fight broke out.
Did you drive by his house at all that night?
No, I did not.
Yes, you did.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. David Barrientos says his sister's boyfriend, Samuel Randolph, assaulted him in a fit of rage. David says Samuel was stalking his sister.
What kind of injuries did you sustain?
I sustained an abrasion on my left cheek and on my knees and bruises on my shoulder.
Do you have any medical reports or photographs?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see them, please. All right, Mr. Randolph, let me hear your version of the events, sir.
Okay, the night before the fight happened, I believe that was June 4th. Me and Gloria had got in an argument.
This is Gloria?
That's Gloria, yes. I came home from work that day, and Joanne's oldest daughter's boyfriend was there, and we began to talk. And he told me, you know what, when you're at work, Gloria's talking stuff about, she's talking to Joanne, telling her all kind of stuff, why she shouldn't be with you. And I was like, well, why did she say this? At the time, her and her family was staying with us. She didn't work, her or her husband. So I was supporting them. So later that night, her daughter and her boyfriend, they leave, and I confront Gloria. I was like, look, Gloria, if you're gonna be living here with me and everything, I'm gonna support you guys. Don't talk about me, and please, not behind. If you have anything to say it to me. An argument broke out between me and her. At the time, Joanne was asleep in the house. Me and Gloria were outside. Gloria goes in and wakes Joanne up, talking about, well, do you see what he's saying to me, that I'm gonna have to leave and all this and that. And Joanne wakes up. She was like, well, what's going on? Me and Gloria, we started arguing. Joanne broke us up. Joanne told Gloria to take the car and just leave.
Yeah, but you got upset, Mr. Randolph. You were throwing things around the house?
Not at that point.
At what point?
The argument had escalated outside, and when she left, I came back in and I hit a glass, and the glass shattered on the ground.
What else?
That was it. Wasn't nothing thrown. I didn't pull the phone cord out of the wall or nothing like that.
Well, what did you throw the glass for after she left?
I was upset. I went in and I hit the glass. Just a stupid part of them.
Hit what glass?
It was a big glass mirror.
What did you break it with?
My fist.
Go ahead.
Me and Joanne started talking about the incident. I guess
talking or arguing?
Talking at the time. I was kind of ready. She was trying to calm me down. I was the one upset.
You were very upset.
Oh yeah, I was. After the police arrived, that's when David came back to the house. They asked Joanne, well, did she have anywhere to go for the night? And she said, yeah, I can go with my brother. So she went to her brother's house. I went to my mother's house.
Just a minute, but you started calling the house.
My mother called the house to speak to Joanne to see what was going on. At the time, David told her, don't effing call here no more. Okay, so we didn't call no more.
You didn't call.
No, I did not call.
Go ahead.
So the night went on. I left the house possibly about 3:15, meet her up there about 3:30. At the time, she hadn't arrived yet. I stepped outside of my car, and I seen her brother and Gloria pull up. And Joanne walks inside of her job, and she...
Did you call after her?
Yeah, I called her name out.
And what did she do when you called her name out?
She turned around and looked at me, and she walked right in the door. So I get back in my car and get ready to leave, and David approaches me. He gets out the car, yells at me, "Why in the F are you still messing with my family, this and that?" And I look at him and like, "Look, this is getting out of hand. This has nothing to do with you." So I turn around and get back in the car.
When did you get out of the car? You didn't tell me you got out of the car.
When he approached me.
He approached you. You were still in your car.
Yeah, when he started, I thought he was just coming over to talk to me, so I got out the car. As soon as I got out the car, he started yelling at me.
All right, so he's yelling. Go ahead.
I go around to open my car door. He pushes me in the car, and then he slams the door on my leg.
Did you have injuries?
I had a little abrasion on my right knee.
Let me see.
The police report states that the officer saying that I don't have no pictures or anything.
Let me see the police report. Go ahead. So he pushed you in the car, and he slams the door on your leg.
Right, my leg is still hanging out the door when he pushes me in the car. And he starts to walk back to his car. Well, I jump up, and I rush him.
Yeah.
You know, I grab him by his shirt, I throw him against the car, he falls to the ground, and that's when the fight broke out.
Okay. He pushed you into the car. What kind of car do you have?
It was a Cadillac at the time.
And then you said he slammed the door on your leg.
Right.
Bird, you know I'm not very good at these technical things, so I'm going to need your assistance to help work this out in my head. If you're in a car and somebody slams the door on your leg, you know, when you get your leg caught in the door, would you step out a little bit over here? Could you show me where you think on your leg that car door might hit?
I mean, I'm 6'3", Judge. Difference of height, but if I fell in, it probably hit me around just below the knee.
And where do you think it might hit him?
Usually just below the knee, I would say about the calf area.
At the calf area?
Yes, yeah.
That's where it would strike me that it would hit you if the car door is slamming on your leg.
I don't know I don't know the exact time that I got cut, whether it was when he pushed me into the car or when we started fighting.
Right. So there wasn't an injury as a result of this door slamming on your leg, because the only indication here is that you had an abrasion to your right knee.
Right.
Now, if you're going into a car, it's your left side that's out of the car, not your right side.
I guess the abrasion happened when we were fighting then.
Then I guess it did. So you had no injury as a result of this alleged pushing into the car, right?
Right.
But he had some pretty serious injuries, sir.
I tried to walk away from the incident, yeah.
No, sir. You went there at 4 o'clock in the morning for a reason. Did you expect her brother to be there when she...
No, I did not.
Right. And she clearly didn't want to speak to you. Did you drive by his house at all that night?
No, I did not.
Yes, you did. Why didn't you stay in your house that night?
I just went to my mother's house that night.
Right. So you were in your car. Because you could have stayed at your house. She wasn't there. You went to your mother's house and took a quick drive-by around his house before you got to your mother's house. So you were mad. And at 3:30, a quarter to 4 in the morning is not the time to have a discussion with her when she's going to work. You know that. Mr. Barrientos.
I also have one more thing to state.
Go ahead.
On that same week of this incident, my sister stated that she didn't want nothing to do with Samuel no more. And that same 2 days later, we went and I rented a truck. We took all her stuff out. We put it in storage. Some of it is stored in my garage. And she moved in with me, and she continued to live with me for the next 6 months.
Really?
Until they got back together.
Joanne, how come you didn't tell me that? I thought you just went to your brother's house so that you wouldn't be late for work the next day.
That was true. That's what you were asking me. That's why I answered you.
So, and you decided to live there for 6 months? Hama?
Yes.
Let me give you a piece of advice, sir. Never get mixed up with somebody else's domestic situation. You see how they made up? They're like lovebirds again.
All right.
You're not talking to your sister's not talking to you. She's mad at Gloria's mad at her because you got involved with her domestic situation, right?
Correct.
They're all smoochy-doochy and lovey-dovey, right? And now the family is estranged all because you try to do the right thing. However, the wrong thing is to stick your nose in somebody else's business. It was the wrong thing for you to get out of your car and go over to Mr. Randolph that morning. You drop your sister off and you leave. That doesn't mean that you're entitled to be assaulted.
Correct.
And I believe that you were. Mr. Randolph, you got to watch your temper, sir. How long are you back together again?
It's been about a year.
And how long have you been together, all told?
3 years.
How many times have you had the police out to your house?
3 times, about 3.
Why?
My temper.
Your temper?
Yeah.
Has anybody ever said to you that you should at least try anger management?
Yes.
Is there any reason why you haven't availed yourself of an anger management program?
No, not really.
Were you drinking at the time of this incident?
I had a beer earlier in the day.
So it's not alcohol related.
No.
It's temper related. You got to learn how to take care of that, sir, because you're going to end up hurting somebody else, or you'll end up having a heart attack and dying yourself. Neither one are very smart. In any event, on this case, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Thank you. But we're involved in an incident that can be described as a road rage incident. It is your claim that Mr. Azure caused this accident, which damaged your car. He says it was you who caused the accident. He said that you hit him in the rear. He is counterclaiming because he alleges that because of your conduct, he was forced to drop out of school, to have his education delayed, and he has a counterclaim. When did this incident happen, Ms. Pincher?
February 3rd, 2005.
What time of the day or evening?
Approximately 10:30 in the morning.
And where were you going?
I was on my way to work.
Where do you work?
Sacred Heart Medical Building.
What kind of a car were you driving?
Honda Civic, 97.
What kind of car were you driving?
I was driving a 87 Toyota Corolla.
Where were you going?
I was going home. I was leaving school.
You had been in school that morning?
Yeah, I just got out at 10:20, and I was on my way home.
Okay, so Ms. Pincher, you tell me your version of what happened, please.
I was driving westbound on Mission.
Show me on your diagram, please.
This is
Which
me
color
here.
are you?
I'm B.
You're blue.
Yes. As I'm driving here, there's a bus that's moving. He pulls out from behind the bus and cuts me off right here. So I went into this turn lane to avoid the accident. I'm attempting to get back over, but he's not letting me. So at this point, after I honked my horn, he then let me in, which as I came here, and he was a bit further down here, this is where we hit because he was driving erratically, and he slammed on his brakes. And to avoid hitting him again, I turned this way. And that's how the damage occurred on that side of the car.
Okay, so what you're saying is he cut you off.
Yes.
You had to get back into a driving lane.
Yes.
Ultimately, he let you back in the driving lane, but then slammed on his brakes, causing you to swerve.
Yes.
And that's how the back of his car and the front of your car were damaged.
Correct.
Okay, fine. I will hear you.
Okay, it started with the bus stop. There was actually another car in front of me. The first car proceeded to go around the bus, made it around. I looked, there was nobody behind me. I proceeded into this lane. I was all the way up here, and all of a sudden I heard a series of honking. She was in a hurry to get somewhere, and I just wasn't going fast enough for her. I looked into my rearview mirror. She's on the cell phone, driving, honking her horn, and then she proceeds to go on my driver's side to pass me. She must have thought that was another lane, because it widens out there for about 50 feet, and then it closes out real quick, and then goes right back into the two lanes. And she proceeded to pass me, Your Honor. She was all the way up as far as my back door on my driver's side. And as soon as I seen that, I started to slow down to let her proceed so she could proceed to pass. But she couldn't do it because there's oncoming traffic coming. So then she stopped to try to swing back around to get back behind me. And I feel that it was all her fault. She was on a cell phone. If she wasn't talking on that cell phone, maybe she could have used that other hand to flip the blinker and switch into the lane that was completely open.
Okay. Now, you had some damage to your car?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of damage did you have to your car?
Do you want to see pictures? Mm-hmm. I have two different estimates. The pictures are on the back of each page of the estimate.
What happened when the police arrived?
One officer talked to me, and I told him the story, and basically he wrote out the report, and that was it. He said that he attempted to contact my witness.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it, please? You were cited for an improper lane usage.
I didn't commit it. It was found non-committed.
Did you have a hearing with regard to that?
Yes, with extenuating circumstances. My witness was there to attend as well.
What is your name, sir?
Sonny Shaver.
Stand up, please. Do you know the plaintiff?
I never met her till that day.
You were driving on the 3rd of February?
I was the oncoming traffic, Your Honor.
Show me where your car was.
I was here at this island stops, and like he said, becomes two double yellow lines that narrow down back to a 4-lane street. When I saw him, she was behind him. He went about halfway into this lane with half his car. Then all of a sudden he came back, and she dived to the left to avoid him, and I thought, oh, going to get hit head on here. She slammed on the brakes and cut it to the left. He cut it to the left across the double yellow line and stopped, and she hit him. So I drove around the block and said, I'll be a witness for you.
And you gave her your name?
Gave her my business card.
And you did come down with her to testify on her behalf?
Yes, ma'am.
It was very nice of you.
Well, I saw she rear-ended him, and that's almost always automatically her fault, and I felt it wasn't, so.
And you and Miss Pincher didn't know each other?
No, ma'am.
That's totally false. I had no reason to turn. I was a mile down my road. She was reckless driving. I was trying to avoid her.
Well, I'm looking at you, Mr. Azure, because Mr. Shaver doesn't know the plaintiff.
Oh, yeah.
right?
I can't tell you.
And when you stopped, did you see Mr. Shaver there that day?
No, he was not there.
Did you see him?
He was yelling at me, some foul things.
No.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Nope. He told me, you can't freaking stop in the middle of the road. And
So,
I was like,
no, just a
"Whatever."
second, Mr. Asher. Mr. Asher. Shh. Mr. Asher, you just said you didn't see him there that day.
Well,
how could you tell me that you didn't see him there that day, and then 2 seconds later tell me when he was yelling at you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I do not believe that it was him. There was a guy there.
Listen to me. That was him. He
Was
didn't
it?
say, yeah, it was him.
No, there was a guy that didn't want to wait
Listen
for
to
the
me.
police officer.
Listen to me. It was him.
And later today,
He didn't steal the car keys. He didn't grab them out of her pocket. She was drunk. He was drunk. They're just lucky they're not dead.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bobby Pinchuk says fellow motorist Charles Azure owes for an accident caused by his reckless driving. Charles claims the accident was Bobby's fault.
All right. Now let's get to your counterclaim, Mr. Azure. I'll hear you.
There was a blonde-haired gentleman. I do not believe that it was him. There was a guy there.
Listen to me. That was him. He
Was
didn't
it?
say, yeah, it was him.
No, there was a guy that didn't want to wait
Listen
for
to
the
me.
police officers,
Listen to me.
and he took off.
Listen to me. It was him. Let's just get to your counterclaim, sir.
Okay. After this accident, I just had surgery on my knee, and I'm in criminal justice at the Spokane Community College. I have no reason to jeopardize my career. My knee went into the dashboard, and it swelled up my knee. I got the doctor report, and I took it to my instructors at school, and they put me on hold. They ended up giving me a Z grade.
What does that have to do with this accident?
Because my knee swollen, because I got injured in there, and I couldn't pursue my criminal justice. They put me on hold. They said I had to get doctors. I can't get released from the doctors. I've had 4 surgeries on my knee, Your Honor, and...
Did you have any surgeries on your knee after this incident, sir?
No, I had it August 29th, 04.
The last one?
The last one was
The last one was
10/29/04.
in August. Okay. Well,
Just
maybe
like
you're in
4
the-
months prior to this
Maybe you're in
accident.
the wrong, you're pursuing the wrong career, sir.
I'm not going as a police officer. We're opening a bail bonds company, and we're going to pursue that.
You're going to be a bail bondsman?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. All right, Mr. Asher. Are you going back to school for
They
criminal
let me
justice?
back in. I just had my appointment with the dean on May 5th, and they said I can go back in
I'm very
in
glad.
September.
Okay. Who is this person?
This is my wife, Joni.
What does she have to do with this case?
She's the one that took me to the hospital, saw my knee, how it swelled. I had to be in a neck brace. I had to wear my splint again. I had to use crutches.
Just my own information, sir. Did you speak to an attorney about these injuries?
Yes, I did.
And did the attorney take your case against
No,
Ms.
he didn't.
Pinchuk?
Because he said I had a pre-existing knee injury.
That plus a couple of other things, Mr. Asher. One of the things that would be death to your case is this gentleman right over here, because he's known as an independent witness. He is absolutely correct when he says that when someone rear-ends someone else in their car, unless there are really extenuating circumstances, it's always your fault. Those are the facts. You understand that, Mr. Asher?
Yes, her insurance.
Unless, Mr. Asher, you have an independent witness who says that you were driving recklessly. That's what he says. And he's got no axe to grind. He took a couple of days off from work. He actually came back to a scene of an accident where most people would just keep
I never
going.
seen him, Your Honor.
Well, maybe you just heard him. And there is no question in my
We're in front
listen
of
to
a-
me, I'm speaking.
Okay.
There's no question in my mind that he was there. There's no question in my mind that he chose to come back to the scene of the accident because he was concerned that Miss Pinchuk would be blamed for the accident because it was a rear-end hit. He took the time after she contacted him to go down and testify before the administrative law judge at the hearing regarding the ticket. The ticket was dismissed, as is your counterclaim, sir. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of damage to the car, $1,400. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She found that I was at fault, but I just don't feel that I was.
It was his fault. He knows it was his fault, and that's what he gets for trying to lie.
She was totally out of control, calling me every name in the book.
At the point where he realized that I was cussing him out and I was honking my horn, I need to get back over, that's when he got mad.
On her cell phone, driving right behind me, she was so close to my bumper, I could see the whites of her eyes.
You said, sure, you could stay with me for a while until you get relocated. He did. And you claimed that he agreed to pay you rent, $350 a month. In addition, you claimed that he agreed to sell you a used car that he had. You paid him for the car, and one day you came home and you find the car that you had paid for is gone, along with Mr. Strickland and his month's rent. Mr. Strickland says, A, you must be crazy, because he never sold you his car, and B, he never said that he was going to pay you rent. He didn't even have a room. He stayed on the sofa. Mr. Strickland, when did you move into Miss Baca's apartment?
It might have been July, middle of July.
July 14th.
And how did that come about, sir?
I called her and asked her if I could come stay there, and she agreed.
Did she ask you why?
Yes.
What did you tell her?
That I was having problems where I was staying at that time.
That was with another girl?
Yes.
When you came over, did you come over with any property?
Yes.
What did you come over with?
Everything I owned.
Where did you put it?
In the garage, mostly.
And you have how many automobiles?
At the moment?
Then, in July of 2006.
One.
What kind of car was it?
97 Ford Thunderbird.
What do you have now?
Nothing at the moment.
What happened to the Thunderbird?
It's a motorcycle.
When?
Last Sunday.
And what happened to the motorcycle?
It is being put together.
Between July and last Sunday, was the 1997 Ford the only vehicle that you had?
Yes.
Do you work, sir? Why do you have to question that? Do you work, Bird?
Yeah, I work.
Well, you know what,
Do you work?
Yes.
Do you work? Look how fast.
Well, you know why? Because I thought about the question you asked me right before that. That was the only vehicle I had. Because I also acquired another motorcycle before that.
When?
Beginning of August sometime.
Were you driving around that other motorcycle?
No.
Where was it?
In the garage.
Whose garage?
It is in Rebecca's garage.
When you left in August, did you take that motorcycle with you?
No, it was already in the shop being worked on.
Worked on for?
To get it running. It didn't run when I bought it.
Between the second or third week in August, after you had been with Miss Baca for 3 or 4 weeks, was the motorcycle in the shop?
It was in the shop, yes.
And you were planning on using it?
Eventually.
Is not an answer.
Eventually, I don't have a motorcycle license, so eventually, yes, I planned on using it.
Now we'll get to my next question. Are you working?
Yes.
That was great.
Where do you work?
I work for Cooper Tires.
How close is that to where you're living now with your girlfriend?
25 miles.
How do you get there?
I drive. I drive.
What do you drive?
Right now, I'm borrowing a car from my brother.
What kind of car are you borrowing from your brother?
A Chevy something. I don't even know what it is. Yeah. It's a red car.
And you're borrowing that car until?
Until I can get a motorcycle license.
All right, Miss Baca. Now I have identified this personality. Now I'm going to try to identify your personality.
Okay.
You let him move in on July 14th. First mistake.
Yes.
The prior involvement that you had with him did not end well.
No.
It ended with a protective order.
Yes.
So despite the fact that it didn't end well, you allowed him to move in. And he slept on the... Don't look there.
Slept
Look
in my
here.
bed.
What?
He slept in my bed. All of his stuff was in my room, except for some stuff that was in the garage.
Why did you let him move back in with you?
I loved him. He said he quit drinking. He changed. We weren't like in a committed relationship, and it was supposed to be just friends that he was moving in, and he would sleep on the couch. But then with him being there for a night or two, he ended up sleeping in my bed. Not smart, I know.
Tell me about the car.
He found out that I had money in stocks.
How did he find out that you had money?
Because I was telling him that I was going to be buying Sea-Doos at the end of the summer.
CDs?
Sea-Doos.
Sea-Doos?
Yeah, for water.
CDs would have been smart. Sea-Doos are stupid.
Well, that's what he said. They're stupid. You should buy my motorcycle for me. And I was like, no. So he ended up saying that he would sell me his car for the money, which was $2,000, and he would buy the motorcycle that he was talking about previously that he got in August. He got that with my money. And I ended up selling him the car after he begged continuously.
You ended up buying the car, not selling him the car.
Oh, yeah, buying the car. And I didn't want to. I already have a car. I didn't have a purpose for it. But then after looking to see how much the car was actually worth and how much he was willing to sell it to me for, I thought it was a good deal. So I ended up giving him the money for it. And then my witness, Dawn.
Show me that you gave him the money.
The only stuff I have right here is from my UBS Financial, which is the stock company that I withdrew the money.
When did you withdraw the money?
The money was withdrawn and deposited into my bank account on the 27th.
Of what?
Of July. And then I have a bank statement saying that it was deposited and it was taken out the next day.
Taken
out the next day.
How was it?
In cash.
How much was taken out?
$1,650.
That's a peculiar figure.
Well, because the agreement with the rent was that he would pay $350 a month after staying there for 2 weeks, and then with no problems, he would start paying $350 a month. So at that point, when I gave him the money, it had been about 2 weeks. So the $350 was with the $1,650 to make a total of $2,000.
I gotcha. When you lived together previously, were you splitting expenses?
He was paying, I think it was like $200 a month.
When you were living together previously?
Yes.
Was that in the same apartment?
Yes.
Now, what is this witness going to tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
Who are you first?
My name is Don Fry.
Fry?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was actually the one going to be purchasing the car off of her because he was buying the motorcycle for $2,000. So she's like, all right, I'll buy it, and then I'll buy it from her. And so that was the agreement.
Why didn't you buy it directly from him?
Because I didn't have the $2,000 to bring up. I was going to do monthly payments.
To her?
To her.
For how much?
$3,200. So it's $160 a month.
Okay.
I mean, this guy's a convicted felon for stealing from his own job. He got fired for stealing money. Why wouldn't he come on here and lie to steal money from
I
me?
think that's not relevant in the case.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Where did you think you were coming today, Mr. Strickland, to a tea dance?
I just didn't think that I needed very much evidence.
Mr. Strickland, are you serious?
Rebecca Baca claims ex-boyfriend Micah Strickland owes for rent and for stealing her car. Micah says he never agreed to pay rent and the car belongs to him.
Mr. Strickland, you remember the date that you left?
I don't remember the exact date.
Do you remember when you left?
August 19th.
You were there for 1 month. You moved in on the 14th, you left on the 19th. Did you pay any rent?
No.
Why not?
There was no agreement to pay rent.
You had paid rent previously.
No, I had not.
Previously, when you lived together.
I had not paid rent then either.
Well, what are you, a sponge? Are you a sponge?
No.
Well, you are if you don't pay rent where you live. Everybody pays rent. They pay a mortgage, they pay rent, they pay maintenance, they pay something. You mean except you?
Apparently.
You purchased the other motorcycle on what date in August?
I don't know the exact date.
Do you remember the exact date?
He paid for it on the 28th when I gave him the money.
Do you remember who he purchased it from?
It was a guy named Rick at his work. I went to the bank. I got the money out. I went to his work on his lunch. He got the money out from his bank account, went back. He gave it to the guy, Rick. And then the next day, on Saturday, I borrowed my ex-husband's truck, and we picked the motorcycle up from Rick's house.
I paid $50 for that motorcycle.
I'm sure.
Just a second. You have a receipt?
No, I don't, but it's written on the pink slip that I haven't got around to going down to the DMV with yet.
Well, where is it?
It's at home.
Well, where did you think you were coming today, Mr. Strickland, to a tea dance?
I just didn't think that I needed very much evidence.
Serious with me? That you didn't think you needed any evidence in court?
Well, I just thought it was a pretty cut and dry case, being that it's my car. If I'd actually done something wrong, like I'd be in trouble for stealing. So I thought this was a pretty odd case. I'm surprised I'm in court over it.
Well, but Mr. Strickland, you are in court over it, so if you are in court over it, it would seem to me that an intelligent person would bring any evidence that they had to support their position.
Okay.
Not just stand there and say, look at me. What do you think Ms. Baca did with the money that she took out of her bank on the 27th of July?
I don't keep track of her finances. I have no idea what she might have done with it.
And would it be a fair statement that she did accompany you to Rick's house to pick up the motorcycle?
Yes, she did come with me to pick up the motorcycle.
Can I see your bank statement, please?
Yes, I also have an insurance statement saying that I added on the car that I never bought to my insurance policy.
I'd like to see it, please.
She put that on the insurance because she wanted to drive the car, and she didn't feel comfortable driving it without insurance.
Why would she want to drive that car when she had her own car?
She drove it a few times.
Oh, you're full of baloney, Mr. Strickland. You're full of baloney. So. Okay, Ms. Baca, this is the only problem that you have. What you are suing him for is the blue book value of the car, or what you had agreed to sell the car to Mr. Fry. That you cannot recoup from Mr. Strickland.
Okay.
But I believe you, and that's my job to make a judgment as far as who I believe and who I don't. I believe you. I believe your story. It makes sense. It's supported by the documents that I have here, especially the insurance, which indicates that the car was added to your insurance policy, and anybody would be absolutely crazy to add a car to their insurance policy and to pay insurance for a car when they already have a car that they want to drive once or twice. I mean, that would be ridiculous. So I believe you, but you are not entitled to the book value of the car. You are entitled to what you paid for it. And I believe that Mr. Strickland did agree to pay you $350 in rent. You took out the $2,000 from your bank, and the reason you took off the $350 was that you were reducing the amount by the amount of rent that he owed you. So I'm entering a judgment on your behalf in the amount of $2,000. That's it. Thank you.
Parties are excused when they step out.
He didn't even acknowledge the fact that he did accept the money.
She's just trying to drag me back into court again.
He threatened to kill me the first time that he moved out.
Betty Shapiro is suing her son, 22-year-old Jason Hardwick, for a loan to buy an '88 Mustang and for a loan to pay restitution.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
This is your son.
Yes, it is.
Was he a cute baby?
Very cute.
Did you ever think when he was born, when you were taking care of his colds and when you were cleaning up after him, that you'd ever be suing him?
Never.
You must be pretty frustrated.
Very frustrated. He owes me money. I mean, it's not even the money. It's the issue of responsibility. He needs to pay his debts, and that's why we're here.
How many children do you have?
4.
Where does he fit in?
The second son. I have an older son, him, a younger son, and a daughter.
What about your other children? They okay?
They're fine.
So this is what the case is about. You loaned him money for a car.
Correct.
Tell me your first name.
Jason.
Jason, when did your mother loan you money for a car?
I'd say last year around
Mr.
February.
Shapiro, when did you loan him money for the car?
May 13th of 05.
What kind of a car did you buy, Jason?
I bought a 67 Mustang.
67 Mustang?
Or, no, it was an 88, sorry. I was thinking of a different car. 88
You're only
5.0.
century apart. What?
It's an 88 5.0 Mustang.
And according to your complaint, Mr. Shapiro, he paid on the car.
Yes, he made 4 payments.
And what was the total amount he borrowed?
$1,500.
How much did he pay you?
On 6/14 of 05, he paid $120. On 7/18, he paid $95. On 8/20, he paid $80. On 9/21, he paid $75.
And then he stopped paying.
Correct.
And Jason says he stopped paying because the car got towed.
Yep.
And he couldn't get the car out of impound because he didn't have any money.
Correct.
So he called you and he said, can you give me some money so I have tow? You said, I don't have any money to give you to get your car out of tow. So the car didn't get out of tow. He lost the car, and he says it's your fault that he lost the car, so he doesn't have to pay any more money.
Right.
Right. That's your defense.
Yep.
You want to say that to me? Because I've said it now, but I would like to hear it coming from your mouth, Jason.
Well, I borrowed the money, I got the car, then where I was staying, I was forced to move, and I couldn't move the car at the time because it was broken down at the time.
So where did you leave it?
In front of my friend's house.
How long did you leave it there?
Like maybe a week before it got towed because I had to get it fixed, and I was fixing it, and then I'm trying
Well,
to
you could have pushed it into somebody's driveway or something.
I didn't
right?
have no driveway to put it in.
Did you call your mom and say to her, listen, can I leave the car in your driveway?
Well, I didn't think to ask her that, and
You didn't
then I would have
think?
had to have it towed over there or something. I didn't have the money for that either.
So you think it's her fault that she didn't lend you more money?
Yeah, so I can get the car. If I don't have a car, why should I give her the money for it?
Let me ask you this question, Jason. How old are you?
22.
Did you go to high school?
Yeah.
Did you finish?
No.
That was a big mistake.
Yeah, no.
Now, you look like a pretty stout kind of guy. Do you ever eat at a restaurant?
Yeah.
Go in, you order dinner, finish the dinner, they bring you the bill.
Yeah.
You look at the bill and you say, why do I have to pay this? There's nothing on my plate anymore. It's all gone. What do you mean? I want you to make believe that your mother is a bank. And instead of borrowing this money from your mother, you borrowed it from a bank. Same scenario. You're doing road work on the car in the public street where you're not allowed to do it. You leave the car on the street. Somebody gives you a free pass for a while, but after a week, they tow your car. You don't have money to get out. You call the bank. Say, listen, I owe you money on a car loan. But unless you loan me more money so I can get my car out of tow, I'm not going to pay you any more money. Hello? Is this a crank call? Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
Does that sound foolish to you, Jason?
Yeah, it does.
So let's not sound foolish. I mean, the first foolish thing that you did was not graduate from high school, because then you would have had money, maybe, to fix your car. Now let's get to the other problem that you had. I'll hear you again, Mrs. Shapiro.
He was accused of stealing at work.
Stealing cash?
Stealing cash.
What kind of place were you working at the time, Jason?
It was like a diner, maybe.
It was a sandwich shop.
And what were you doing?
I was cooking.
And you were accused of stealing?
Yeah.
Out of the cash register?
I don't know. They never told me where it was from. They just told me money was missing, and they feel that I was doing it.
Okay. So he called you?
Correct.
What did he say when he called you?
That he was accused of stealing and that they were going to press charges and put him in jail unless he came up with the money.
And you said what?
I said, let's go meet with her.
With whom?
With his boss.
Fine. So you sat down with his boss?
With his boss in her office.
Go ahead.
And at that time, she basically told me exactly what had happened,
Well,
the
tell me-
amount of money that was taken.
When she sat at the meeting with you and your son and accused him of taking this money, what did he say?
He had admitted to doing it. And she was
How
willing
much
to
money are we
not-
talking about?
$2,715.
I didn't say nothing like that.
What did you say?
I told them that I wasn't admitting
No,
nothing.
no, don't look down. Look over here.
I wasn't going to pay them. I was going to go try and get an attorney, try and fight them and everything. I wasn't taking the rap. I didn't see no proof I did it. I didn't see nothing.
Now, just a second. We're not talking about proof. Listen to me very carefully, Jason. You got your listening ears on?
Yep.
Your mother says that at the meeting with your boss, you admitted taking the money. But if you say to me, I told them that I wasn't taking the rap for this because I didn't do it, the fact that your mother is a liar. Is that what you want to tell me?
That's what I said.
What did you say?
I said that.
No,
I
no,
didn't
don't
say
look
that.
down. Over here.
I said I didn't say that.
You said you didn't say what?
I didn't say that I took the money.
What did you say?
I said that I was going to try and fight it.
With what?
However I could.
Is that what you told your mother?
Yeah.
Tell me exactly what you told your mother.
I didn't tell my mom really anything. I just said I wasn't going to, I didn't want to pay it. I didn't want to give him this money. I didn't want her to give him the money. I didn't want nothing. I just wanted to go try and get a lawyer or whatever and try and fight
So
this
then
out.
why in the world, Jason, did you call your mother and arrange to go to a meeting with her? And why did you go to the meeting with her? You already been told that you were accused of stealing. So there was no possible reason for you to call your mother or go to the meeting if what your intention was to say, fine, arrest me, I'm going to get a lawyer, and I'm going to fight these charges. You want to explain that to me?
Just figured she knew more than I did about this type of stuff, and she might be
What
able to
type
give me
of
some
stuff?
kind of advice. What they were telling me.
Just a second. I can understand, Jason, you calling your mother at home and saying, Mom, I want to come over and talk to you. This is what they're accusing me of, and I didn't do it. I want to get a lawyer, and I want to fight it. What I don't understand, Jason, is why you called your mother and then went to a meeting with your boss, with your mother.
I just had her come with me.
Why? Why would you go at all? You knew what you were being accused of.
I don't know. I just went.
3 out of 4 ain't bad. Just say to your mother when she wrote out the check or paid them the money.
Nothing. I didn't actually see that happen.
Well, you knew she did it, right?
Yeah, I didn't say nothing to her, though.
You didn't say anything?
No, I was...
Like, thanks, Mom, for bailing me out, or I don't want you to pay this money because I didn't do this. I'd rather we spend the money on a lawyer so I can have a clear name. Didn't say that?
No.
Did you make an arrangement with your mother to pay her back out of your paychecks?
No, I never set that up.
Who did?
I guess the lady that I was working for did.
And how many days did you work after your mother gave him the money?
I don't know, maybe 3 or 4.
Why did you leave?
Because they were harassing me.
Who was
at the job.
harassing you?
The bosses. They were talking about me in front of me, and I wasn't feeling comfortable about that, so I quit.
And where did you go to work?
I went to another job. I got a job at Dairy Queen.
For how long?
About a month.
And where'd you go after that?
That was just a couple weeks ago. I haven't had a job yet since then.
Maximum limit in the small claims court in your jurisdiction is $3,000. Is that why you sued for $3,000? That's what you owe your mother. Who are you living with?
My friend.
What does your friend do for a living?
He works in, like, he makes the glass for the slot machines in the casinos.
Do you know that you sound to me like you're lost? Seriously. You sound to me as if you're lost, and unless you take control of your life, sir, it's going to be over before you know it. You can't be an irresponsible baby forever. Comes a time when you have to grow up and take responsibility for what you do and not make everybody else's life miserable. Your mother doesn't owe you anything anymore. Now you're on your own. Leave her alone. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
It's been hard. It's been hard, but I mean, I love my son.
I was frustrated with the comments they were making. I was getting mad. I didn't want to get too angry and go try and fight one of them or something, so I just left.
I've always loved my son. I love all my kids, but it just was a matter that had to be taken care of.
Maybe we can start talking, be cool again.
I hope we can just all get along. I love you.
All parties in the matter of Termini versus Jordan. Step forward, please.
21-year-old Laura Termini is suing her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Justin Jordan, for punching out the windshield of her car and impound fees.
This was your boyfriend. You had an argument while you were driving in a car. You were the driver?
Yes, ma'am.
He was the passenger. During the course of the argument, he got very angry and he hit the windshield, or he hit a mirror in your car, which broke the windshield. You wanted to pay for that?
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume that after this incident, you were no longer boyfriend and girlfriend, but about a month later, you had to go to the airport. So you were stupid enough to ask him if he would drive you to the airport and he could keep your car and use it while you were away. So he took you to the airport. According to him, he took your car to work. He parked it where he shouldn't have parked it. It got towed. And it cost you a whole bunch of money to get the car out of the towing facility. So far, is that about right, Mr. Jordan?
Yeah, that's correct.
No, look at me. Look at me,
Yes.
smart pants. Yes, Judge, that's correct.
Yes, it is. Correct.
All right. Mr. Jordan's defense is he broke the windshield in the car instead of breaking your face, because that's how mad he was. So he hit something that couldn't really injure. Am I reading it right?
Yes, you are.
And the second part about taking the car and having it towed, he says, well, you should have come home from your vacation early and taken care of your problem, right?
Right, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jordan, did you eat spinach as a child? Regularly?
Yeah.
Now, I want you to tell me when this incident was, Mr. Jordan, in the car.
Late August.
August of 2006.
August of 2006.
All right. Where were you coming from, sir?
We were coming from our apartment, and we were taking the cat to the vet, which elected, and it was dying, and I was very off, and that's the bottom line.
Whose cat was it?
It was hers.
What kind of cat was it?
It was a Savannah F2.
A Savannah F2.
Yeah.
What is that?
It just has some wild cat in it, so it's like half wild, half regular cat.
How long had you had the cat?
About 6 months.
And when you say she neglected the cat, Mr. Jordan, what do you mean she neglected the cat?
It means it didn't have its proper shots, it wasn't taken care of correctly, it was not fed the right food.
Okay. So you were angry with her that you were taking the cat to the vet?
Yeah, it was dying.
And what did you do?
Well, she was degrading me, putting me down, and
Well, what did she say to you, Mr. Jordan?
a bunch of stuff like worthless and just stuff like that, you know?
She called you worthless?
Yeah, stuff like that, yeah.
What else did she call you?
A bunch of profound words that I can't say on TV, but
You mean
know,
profanity, not
profanity, yes.
So what did you do?
So I punched the windshield.
And who was responsible for that?
She is.
Because she made you angry.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you took her to the airport
Yes.
in her car, and then you took her car to work.
Yes.
Did you park it in a place where you shouldn't have parked the car?
No.
You mean the police made a mistake?
Yes.
Towing your car?
Yes.
Was it parked near a fire hydrant? Was
No,
it
they say it was blocking a driveway.
blocking a driveway?
Yeah.
But there was no driveway.
No, there was a driveway, but it was not blocking a driveway.
You mean somebody could have squeezed through?
Definitely. No, it wasn't blocking a driveway.
You mean they just selected your car at random because you ate your
No.
spinach as a child?
No.
So what happened when you came out and found the car no longer there, Mr.
So it was
Jordan?
gone, and I went to Anaheim Police Department, and I couldn't get it out.
Well, when you went to the Anaheim Police Department, what were you told?
She had to come get it out.
And you said that she was on vacation.
Yes, I did.
Did you contact her?
Yes, I did.
Did you ask her to send you a letter of authorization so that you could get the car?
Yes, I did.
And did she send it?
No, she didn't.
Why not?
Because he said that he didn't have the money to pay it. So if I send it, he wouldn't pay it anyway.
Is that what you told her?
No.
What did you tell her?
I told her to come get it out.
Who was supposed to pay for it?
I told her I was going to pay for it.
Oh, good. So?
If she came home and got it out, but she remained in New York for another 5 days. That's
Well-
why that bill's so expensive.
Oh, the bill is so high, sir, because you parked in a driveway.
No, it was $160, and whatever she paid, that's her fault.
Tell me how much the impound fees were.
Together with the ticket, $435.
And the windshield?
It is $1,097.
Did you have the car fixed?
No, I haven't. I don't have the money to have it fixed.
Okay. Anything else you want to say to me, Mr. Jordan, before I let you go on your way, sir?
No.
Wasn't this a pleasant experience? Judging for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,532. That's all.
Excuse me, step out. She has no respect, and that's the bottom line.
She saw him for the crazy maniac he is.
Stay away from crazy women.
Not date jealousy.
Of one of the cards. You did that for her. And the understanding was the bills would go to her and she would take care of the bills. And it is your claim that subsequent to that, she wanted to buy a motorcycle. And again, you agreed to be a friend. And you co-signed the loan for the motorcycle with the understanding that she would make the payments promptly, which she failed to do. You subsequently found out that not only had she taken card, but because she had all of your information, she took out a series of credit cards and built up a balance of thousands of dollars. She was also behind on the payments. She was behind on the payments on the bike as well. As a result of that, your credit, which had been pristine, took a dive. So you're suing for two things. You're suing for the return of the motorcycle to you or its value so that you can sell it and get out from under the payments. And second, you want damages for her ruining your credit. Ms. Seifert says that she kept her end of the bargain. She has paid on the motorcycle, although she acknowledges she doesn't pay in a prompt manner. She pays when they threaten her. That's not what she says, but I gather that's the case. That when they threaten to either sue her or repossess the motorcycle, she makes a payment. That still doesn't positively impact on your credit. And she says that she kept her end of the bargain by making the payments on the credit card. She also says that you opened up all these credit cards for her, not just the one that you say, but all of the others. When did you open up this credit card with her as a co-card holder?
Probably around June of '05, and there was only one card. And if there was all these credit cards...
No, just don't. You don't have to answer for her.
Okay.
You opened up one
June
credit
of '05.
And with what financial institution?
MBNA, MasterCard, and both our names are on it.
And as far as you know, that is the only card that you authorized her to get?
Yes.
With your information?
Yes.
How many cards did she get using your information?
4 or 5, counting the second MBNA she took out, that she succeeded. I have documentation.
I'd like to see it, please.
Your Honor, there was only one MBNA card. There wasn't two.
How many?
There was two Chase. There was one MBNA.
Yeah.
Ms. Seifert, how many cards did the plaintiff agree to take out in your name?
Ma'am, I went to creditcards.com with her information because...
Listen.
We never determined a number. The cards that I had that I used, several of them were mailed to her home, to her address. I didn't go to her house and steal those cards.
Ms. Seifert, you don't honestly expect, coming here today, that you're going to get over on me.
No,
right?
I don't. I'm just telling you.
So then let me ask the questions and don't skirt around the answers because I'll take you and I shake you. And then I get the answer.
Okay.
You came to the plaintiff and asked her if she could take out a credit card and put you as a co-holder on a credit card so that you would have a credit card to start to build up your credit. That's what you asked her, I assume. Is that right?
She offered.
Well, how would she know that you needed it, madam, unless she knew that you didn't have a credit card?
Because we were going on vacation together and we were talking about finances for vacation and the things our kids could and couldn't do.
And?
And I explained to her that I did not have a credit card with much credit on it.
That's okay. Good. So she agreed to get one credit card. Now, after she got the one credit card in June of 2005, when did you apply for the other credit cards?
I did it all at the same time on creditcards.com when I got the one credit card.
Just a second. I told you, don't play with me.
I'm
smarter than you are. You just said to me, I got the other credit cards on creditcard.com after I got the one credit card.
That's not what I said.
That's exactly what you just said. I have a tape.
The one time on creditcards.com, and several cards were mailed to her house, and she knows that.
Don't tell me what she knows. Why did you take advantage of a situation where she said she would get you a credit
It was very bad
card?
judgment on my part.
Now, when you got these credit cards, did you use them to make purchases?
Yes, I did.
Did you pay all the credit cards on time?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Then you ruined her credit.
Then I signed to be responsible for all of them. All the papers she asked me to, and it was taken off of her credit.
Listen to me. You show me where, once you signed a piece of paper to be responsible, because so far it impacted positively on her credit. Show me.
I don't know where it acted positively, but she was even told it was taken off her credit after the affidavits were signed, and I also have 2 receipts for $6,500 we've paid her.
Just a second. For?
Towards the credit cards.
Well,
and
you didn't pay it to her, you paid it to the credit card for things that you bought.
No, we gave it directly to her to take care of it.
Doesn't make any difference, madam. Don't you get it? Once you become a deadbeat in the credit card world, you don't automatically become not a deadbeat just because you pay the credit card. You remain a deadbeat.
But they said that because they called it fraudulent, it would come off of her report.
So you acknowledge that you fraudulently
No,
applied?
she made me sign those papers because if I didn't, because I'm on probation, she was going to call my probation officer, which she threatens to do all the time.
Sounds like a great idea to me. Now, let's get to the motorcycle. She also co-signed a loan for you for a motorcycle. Is there any reason why you did that, madam?
I was trying to be good-hearted, which I will never do again.
You have children?
Yes, I'll never even co-sign for my children. I've learned a lesson the worst way.
Okay. Now, do you pay for the motorcycle on time?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
Which means that you have destroyed her credit.
Yes, ma'am, I probably have with the motorcycle.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your motorcycles?
I have 2 motorcycles, yes.
Well, why don't you sell one?
Because I like them.
Yeah, but you live in a home with this lady, and she's got a problem. So why don't you help her fix it?
And later today,
Was he more exciting when you were together?
He has a problem with confrontation, Your Honor.
Ah, and I love confrontation.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vicky Madure claims former friend Becky Seifert ruined her credit by not paying on credit cards she helped her get.
Good. Now I'd like to see what papers you have.
They asked me to bring, I brought a picture of the motorcycle. She wants the motorcycle back, but the title is solely in my name. So if she wants the bike back, she's going to have to get my name off the title because I'm liable for anybody that she lets ride that bike, and she's not capable of riding it herself.
Just a second.
And then I have
When
a statement
did
now
you-
that shows that all my payments are current.
You make your payments late.
Well, I mean, it shows that I'm current right now.
I don't care whether you're current right now. You make your payments late. Can I see the title to the motorcycle, please? When did you co-sign on the motorcycle?
October 05.
How much have you paid on the motorcycle?
I've made all the payments except the ones she made, and I
How
paid
much
her back
do
for
you
them.
pay?
$250 a month, ma'am.
How much is the loan?
She owes, right now, there's still almost $12,000 owed. Right here it is. $11,818.42 owed.
Who are you?
Becky's boyfriend.
Stand up. What do you do for a living?
Runner mill.
You're on a living?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why don't you refinance this motorcycle?
I already have one in my name.
So what?
I don't know, ma'am.
What?
This was between them.
Well, I understand that, but you live with her. You sleep with her.
Yes.
So why should she be on the hook for her bad credit?
She was having trouble with her credit way before us.
I'm asking you a question. I just said to you, she sleeps with you, you live with her. Why don't you, the two of you, refinance this motorcycle and get it out of her name?
I've got too much in my name right now with my house, my cars, and my motorcycles. So
Your motorcycles?
I have 2 motorcycles, yes.
Well, why don't you sell one?
Because I like them.
Yeah, but you have a problem. You live in a home with this lady, and she's got a problem. So why don't you help her fix it?
Well, I did. I took out a 401k loan and paid off the credit cards that she had with her to help her out. I mean...
What does she do?
Huh?
What do you mean, huh? What does she do?
What does she do? Prez?
As far as a livelihood?
She works in a doctor's office.
She make a living?
Yes.
So why doesn't she refinance it?
Your Honor, I don't know.
Why don't you refinance it?
I can't get it just in my name, Your Honor.
Well, maybe you can get it in his name. He owns his own home.
Well, we haven't tried that, but the last time he tried to get a loan, they said he had too much credit out.
Then why don't you sell the motorcycle?
I just haven't found anybody that'll buy it. It's not worth what we owe on it.
Now, she says she wanted to sell it. Her problem was she couldn't get what was owed on it. So you would have no problem signing it over to her, right?
As long as it's out of my name, I have no problem, and I've told her
Fine,
that before.
absolutely perfect. Have her sign this over to her,
That's
please.
a memorandum title, ma'am.
So?
But that is not the actual title.
I understand that. The
that's what I'm
actual
asking.
title has a lien on it. She can do it. As a matter of fact, we'll prepare that order, then you'll sign.
That's fine.
Good. Now we know that this is now your motorcycle. We will prepare that order. Now you're suing her for $3,000 because in addition to the return of the value of the motorcycle, you want damages for ruining your credit, right?
Yes.
And hopefully the $3,000 that you're suing for that will help compensate you for the loss that you're going to suffer on the motorcycle. Do you understand?
Yes.
Very good. Judging for the plaintiff, in the addition to the order that this will now be in your name, subject to the lien, judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step down.
I am so happy. She's out of my life.
I'm just glad the motorcycle's gone and I don't have to deal with her anymore.
Cannot comprehend anybody.
You're divorced.
92.
And for how long did the boys live with their father?
They never have.
Never.
Until one of them was kidnapped.
My question to you is, during what times did the boys live with their father?
The youngest one has never lived with him. The oldest one went there for a Thanksgiving vacation and never came back.
What year?
98.
Who's the older? You went to live with your father in 1998 until when, sir?
2006.
So you lived there for 8 years?
Yes.
Did you see your brother
No.
while you lived there?
No.
It is your claim, Miss Roscoe, that your husband's former wife, the first Mrs. Roscoe, I assume the first...
the second.
The second Mrs. Roscoe. You are the third Mrs. Roscoe.
I'm the fourth.
You're the fourth Mrs. Roscoe.
Yes.
He's got something...
Well,
elusive, but he has something.
No.
Has been harassing you.
Right. I need to clarify what they said. First of all, Sean did not live with Bob until 2006 because he moved into my house in 2004 because he had nowhere else to go.
Is that right? You were with your stepmother?
No, I stayed with friends mainly because of, I didn't
ask you for any other reason. Your complaint is that she harasses you.
Yes.
You want her to stop. She says
Right.
she doesn't harass you, you harass her. You want to know who's harassed?
The kids.
That's true. So, Mrs. Roscoe, the fourth Mrs. Roscoe, That would be you.
Yes.
You have 5 minutes to tell me how she's harassing you legally.
All right, it started in 2004 when Sean moved into my house. Bob did not live there, Sean did. He had nowhere else to go, so I let him stay with me. She found out how old I was, and it started from that point on. I have always been mistress, lot lizard, what else?
Don't ask her.
Okay. I have emails. I have certified letters. She sent the same letter 3 times, 2 by cert mail, after she paid to get our address. This is the certified letter that she sent. And I have the email where she stated she would pay $50 to get our address again after she had contacted my ex-husband and his family members through Christmas and New Year's every year for 2 years.
I'm not interested in your ex-husband and his family. You're suing her.
Right, but she's trying to get our address. They don't give it, so she buys it. So
she
she
got your
sent
address.
the email she would pay for it.
She got your address. So
Right, but
let's go. What
what
is the other harassment? Let's go. Go. You had 5 minutes
Okay.
of moving.
All right, I'm trying. She says that the kids are not allowed to talk to their dad yet. They have an address, they have email addresses, and a phone number where they can contact him.
I haven't heard anything yet, madam, that amounts to legal harassment.
Okay.
Keep going.
Threatening to have my kids taken away from me. I live in
Just a
every
second.
day.
Just a second. Show me where she threatened to have your children taken away from you.
All right. In here, you'll see several references to where she's talked to my in-laws, my ex-in-laws, and she's surprised that they allow me to keep the kids there. She has made contact with them and tried to...
So what? Who cares?
I mean, there's no reason for her to bring me into her and Bob's business. Those are their kids. It was his
You're
support.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Miss Roscoe. There's no reason for her to get involved with you and your children and your former in-laws or anybody else. That's not legally actionable. It's just bad behavior. I'm waiting for something legally actionable. Like somebody calling you 150 times a day.
Well, we've
like somebody posting things about you on the internet, defamatory statements, like somebody parking themselves outside your home with a constant surveillance of your home and police reports to follow that up. Do you understand what I'm saying to
Yes,
you?
I
So
do.
far, I see annoying. So far, I don't see legal.
Okay, here's where she states about my kids, give it time, I may not have them at all. This has been going on for years.
Miss Roscoe, just because you say it's been going on for years doesn't mean it's been going on for years.
Okay, well, I've highlighted the majority of the parts. Right here, teach your children well for as long as you have them. It's not so much...
Just a second.
Okay.
Have you ever told the truth? I figured out that you lie almost as well as your boyfriend. You can't beat him, he's the best. But you come to a close second. Who wrote that?
That's her.
And then teach your children well for as long as you have them. Well, that's a good idea. Teach your children well for as long as you have them, because you won't have them forever. You could have gotten rid of me by having my son call, but that would have been too easy.
Her son was 21 years old and had known her number for years. He did not even live in my house. He lived with his girlfriend where he had a restraining order put on him.
Do you answer these messages?
I used to. I deleted that name so she wouldn't have it anymore.
So you answered her?
Sometimes, yeah, when I took all I could take. Yeah.
Oh,
and I
so
called the
good.
police.
Okay.
And
Keep going. Your 5 minutes are almost
okay.
up.
Every time Bob would send her an email about the interest on the child support that she got or anything, she would answer it to me.
So what?
Well, she has a history of harassing him and being mean and violent. This is a letter
Did
from
you
her
ever
own.
file a police report?
I tried.
What do you mean you tried? What does that mean, you tried?
Because they said it would be civil. They could not do anything criminally unless I could prove something civilly. So that's why.
No, that's not true. That's a lot of baloney. They could not do something criminally unless you could prove something civilly? It's ridiculous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
If she meant to pass title to you, you would have insured the car in your name.
Why did she give me the title in
Are
the
you
first place?
asking me a question, smarty pants?
Yes,
Don't you
I am.
ask me a question. I ask the questions, you give the answer.
Beverly Roscoe claims her husband's ex-wife, Deborah Roscoe, harasses her constantly. Deborah is accusing Beverly of harassing her.
All right, let's hear about her harassment of you.
Okay, that would probably be the bitterest.
Go ahead.
It began between 99 and 2000. She started contacting my youngest son in Washington over the internet. And when I finally seen Beverly Joe 99 come popping up a lot of times, I finally asked my son, I said, who is this Beverly Joe? Well, that's Dad's girlfriend. And I said, no, it can't be Dad's girlfriend because he's been married since 95. Well, that's Dad's girlfriend. What's she want? She wants me to go to the airport and she'll send me a ticket and I can go to Ohio. I said, oh, no, you're not going to Ohio. I said, I lost one son that went there for a Thanksgiving and was refused to be sent home. I said, you're not going. She continued to write, and he got to the point where he got belligerent with her. So then all of a sudden, she wasn't nice to him no more. He was going to be put into the mental institute, and that
Listen to
started
me.
things.
You complain that she's harassed you. You have 5 minutes to tell me how.
I have blocked her name from my addresses, my emails, my IMs. She now goes under my ex-husband's IMs. She posted my social security number over the internet January 29th of 2006.
Why did you do that?
During those messages that you have right there, the way she was carrying on about how she was going to come and sit in my driveway and how she was going to stay at my ex-in-laws and stuff until she could get to me the next day and stuff. Yes, I did, just to shut her up, and it worked.
So you posted her social security
I called the cops. They wouldn't do anything about it. So and it wasn't
You deserve
posted.
each other.
It wasn't posted.
Absolutely deserve each other. Listen to me. Sounds to me like you two women deserve each other.
No, she just needs to leave my sons and I alone.
Listen to me. Madam, you have choices in this life. If what you're going to do is make a mission out of making each other's lives miserable, because somebody's got to start the text message and somebody's got to finish it. Right now, there is absolutely no reason to have any contact with each other. You have grown children. If they want to see their father, they will contact him. If they want to speak to him, they will contact you. They're big boys. So these two women have absolutely no reason to have any contact with each other. Is that right?
That's true.
Right.
Ma'am, I've got some more
Listen to me. Well, get to it, because now you have 2 minutes.
I've got some recordings I'd like you to listen to.
I am absolutely going to listen to recordings if you have them.
How did you work this? These are just a couple of the messages that come over my telephone.
You know my name. You ain't call me back within 5 minutes. I'm going to go find your little boy. And by the time I'm done with him, he will need you. But he won't be leaving Ohio for a while because he'll be in the hospital.
That was him.
That was
Yes, ma'am, that was me.
I would like to think that you're grown up enough to help for your son, who you have no idea what has become in 7 years. As a matter of fact, it was he who pushed me, and I refused to have the cops take him. Nobody called the cops on him. He walked out in front of a cop car and almost got hit, and they were going to arrest him for the way he was yelling and carrying on, and I told them just to let him get his stuff and leave. Now, if you think you can grow up and act like a 50-year-old mother, you can call me back and I will explain to you what happened. If you want to sit there and listen to his little pouty story that's all full, you go right ahead. But all you and Josh are doing is bob off to a point where the only person going to pay for you two sitting there acting like idiots is Sean. So if you think you can grow up and call me back, I'll be here for a
Nothing wrong with that message. Shut up. Listen to me. I didn't ask you for anything. Okay.
Wonderful mother that you portray yourself as, you would personally give it what's going on in your kid's life. But since you don't, that's fine. I will make sure he gets a ride back to Washington. You can either call me back and be mature, or I'll send him back via the Knox County Sheriff's Department. That's your choice.
Now, who's harassing who?
Just a sec. Shh. Quiet.
All I'm going to say is you better make sure you got permission from his probation officer to take him out of the state, because she will know tomorrow that you did. You can either grow up and talk to me like a woman and quit calling Bob's cell phone like some tramp in heat, or I will file charges on you like they told me I could. And as for Sean, you're really teaching him a lot of responsibility to have him up and walk off of a job that he had for less than a month. Yeah, you're teaching him a lot, Deb.
Tired of him yet?
I haven't heard anything that's legally actionable, madam. Nothing.
No, it's just showing that who is calling who.
Listen to me. You text her, you write to her. She has, listen,
go ahead and
she
write
had
that.
evidently, Mrs. Roscoe, she had your son at some point living in her home, this one, and there was clearly some difficulty with him in the home. I don't plan on getting into what it was because, quite frankly, I don't care. It has absolutely nothing to do with this lawsuit. All I have to tell you is people behaving badly does not create a lawsuit. Just listen to me very carefully. Mr. Wonderful over here got married 4 times. You have a short attention span, Mr. Roscoe. In any event, what the 2 wives have done is they've made their lives miserable, at least currently, with calling and writing and texting and whatever. It's time to say enough. Because these 2, whether they're good kids, whether they're not good kids, whether they're difficult, whether they're problems, right now, how old are you?
22.
And you?
20.
All grown up. It takes 2 to make an argument. 2. Right now, you have no reason to have any communication with each other. Do you speak to your sons?
I haven't since September.
That's their prerogative, sir. If for some reason they don't want to talk to you, that's it. But it has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with their mother, because they're big boys. And if they wanted to talk to you, they would. So I don't see any reason for you to have any further contact with each other. Why don't you both consent to an order that prohibits any contact whatsoever, either by mail, by telephone, by text message, by any form of communication that we know of in modern electronics.
I had reported her to her work to get
Your
her.
case is dismissed, madam. You have no case. I mean, I ask you a question, you go back into history. I asked you, are you prepared to enter into an order that says, I will have no contact with the second Mrs. Roscoe, either in person, by mail, by telephone, telegraph, pigeon,
yes,
or whatever.
I've tried to obtain
Are you prepared to enter into such an order?
You bet you, ma'am.
Very good. I'll have somebody prepare it back there. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
she's right. We both need to grow up, but more than act their age, because I act mine.
This old lady's like the Energizer Bunny. She just don't stop.
Deb knows.
Him for caring for Rick's son, his grandson, 15-year-old Richard.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Sir. Today. Judge, this is number 417 on the calendar in the matter of Denault versus Denault. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have seats, please.
All right, looks like the cast is as follows. You, sir, are the plaintiff.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your son.
Yes.
Grandson?
Yes.
How old are you?
15.
Is this the grandson in question?
Yes, ma'am.
You are suing your son for support, retroactive support, for a time when your grandson came to live with you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why don't you tell me why he came to live with you?
Well, my son and his wife, ex-wife, called my wife and I and told us that they couldn't control Richard anymore and that he was becoming a street person. And he was on drugs and not going to school. And they decided to get rid of him. They were going to throw him into, I guess, the ward of California till he was 18. They put him in a mental institution in Bellflower, California, and that's where we picked him up at. And my son and daughter-in-law, or ex-daughter-in-law, promised us that they were going to help us to support Richard. And we knew he had a history of drugs. And
When did you have this conversation about support?
this was about 1st of June or so, because we picked up Richard on the 12th.
Of June?
Right.
Well, tell me what the conversation was about support.
Well, that they would both give us $100 a month to help us take care of Richard. I told my son that I couldn't afford to solely pay it. So that's, that I needed his help to help me with Richard. And he agreed, and so did Brenda, or Michelle, as she's well known now. And we went before a notary and we signed papers to that effect. I cannot find my copies. All my files are missing, and I don't know why.
You mean copies of papers that say he would pay you $100 a month?
Yes.
And you're telling me that that was in writing?
Yes.
Is that true, sir?
No, it wasn't.
So what happened with Richard when he came to your home?
Well, we tried to get him into school because he'd been out of school for over, I guess, 6 months to 7 months. He was flunked in the 7th grade. So I called the governor of Utah and asked them if they could help me to get Richard into some kind of a tutoring program. And I guess through him calling the school in our area and everything, I finally got him a tutor to help him through the summer to get ready for the 8th grade.
How long did he live with you?
Altogether, 11 months. I had him up until December 25th.
What happened in December?
Yeah, we met his father and his father's new wife in Caesar's Palace, I believe it was. And we let Richard reacquaint with his father, and we tried to talk to his father into taking him home with him for a week or two. And he did. And then about a week after he had him, or 3 days or 4 days, something like that, he called me back and said, I'm deciding to keep Richard.
And how long did he keep him for?
Well, he called me back in either January or February and told me he couldn't keep Richard in the house. He kept running away. He was starting to ditch school again, if he was in school. I don't think his father put him in school for at least a month or so. And then about a month after that, he called me again and said Richard was a runaway again. He took off in his underwear or his pajamas, I don't know which. And his father was looking for him, but it took him a week to find him.
And then he came back to live with you?
No, then he went to court, and he was being charged for 2 burglaries and a few other things. My son didn't want him anymore, so he had petitioned the court to make Richard a ward of the court until he was 18. They called me and asked me if I could take Richard back to Utah to save him from being a ward of the state of California.
And you did?
I did.
And how long did you keep him at that point?
I had him until October, I believe. My son snuck up and stole him from us.
What do you mean he snuck up and stole him?
He came up while my wife and I were at where she works. And then I get a call from my daughter saying that Rick had just come up there with a sheriff and took Richard with him. And then after that happened, we found a lot of papers missing, or files, a few other things. So I don't know if they prepared this prior to him coming up or what.
Okay, sir.
When Richard went to the hospital, his mother put him in there because Richard was living with his mother at the time. Brenda, Michelle, she came and told me that she put him in the hospital. And I said, well, ask Richard if he wants to come live with me. He said no. So Michelle said, well, how about if he can go with his grandfather? Well, Fred said, yeah, I'll take him. So Richard says, well, I'll go with him. So he went with him because Michelle was going to put him into a placement home.
When did you change your name from Brenda to Michelle?
About, what, 5 years ago?
See, when I was married to her, she was Brenda. So I'm used to Brenda, you know, calling her Brenda. So my Fred took him to Utah with him. And he asked me, well, Rick, are you going to help me? And I said, well, if I have some money, I will send you some money. He says, okay. So he went up to Utah, and I was getting calls from Fred that he was in trouble, sniffing gas and all this stuff. We met in Las Vegas in December, and Fred said, take Richard with you. I want him to get to know you again and all that. I said, okay. So Richard was with me, and he was getting in some trouble with the law and stuff like that. So we went to court, and the court was going to put him into a placement. So Richard says, well, I'll go back to Grandpa's in Utah. So I called him up, and I asked him, I said, Fred, Richard would like to come back to Utah. And he says, okay, I'll take him back. He came down and picked him up, took him up there. And he was having problems with Richard. Richard was sneaking cigarettes, and he asked for the cigarettes back, and Richard said no, so he punched him out, gave him a black eye. And so I called up there, and I asked, how's everything with Richard? He said, well, I just punched him out because he wouldn't give me the cigarettes. Then he mouthed off, and I hit him again. I said, you know, that's not right. Why are you doing that? Well, I'm tired of it. Excuse my French. I'm tired of it. And I said, well, try to understand him, you know. Then I called up again. Then he's over medicating him with Zoloft, 150 milligrams a day. And I said, why are you doing that? She says, well, I'm trying to keep him calmed down. And I talked to my girlfriend, my wife, and I said, well, you know what? Let's go up to Utah and pick him up. He's getting abused.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Stupid isn't written here, sir. They do not send you to NA meetings because you're on Zoloft. Don't say dumb things, especially to me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 57-year-old machinist Fred Denault says his son, 40-year-old Rick Denault, owes him for caring for Rick's son, his grandson, 15-year-old Richard.
Well, just a second. Let's step back a minute. The judge in the court in California permitted your son, instead of going to a juvenile facility, to go to live with your father. Is that correct?
Yes.
He was released to your father's custody, not to yours. Is that right?
Yes.
So you had no right to go and pick him up because he was, in fact, released to your father's custody. Right?
Right.
See, I didn't even read those papers, and I know that. Bird knows that, too, because we've been around the block.
Except, didn't the court said they allowed him to go up there? Isn't that a different phrase? Allowed?
Let me tell you what they did in the state of California. They saved themselves probably $100,000 by not putting him in a facility here at taxpayers' expense. They said, we're going to make it Utah's problem. We'll send him to Utah to live with his grandfather. Let me first discuss with you, sir, your countersuit. I'd like to get that resolved first, which is you're suing for mental anguish for your son. You want $2,000. You don't get a penny. Nothing.
Okay.
Your 15-year-old problem, you visited on your father and mother. They had their own problems. I assume you weren't a piece of cake to raise. You have other children, sir?
Yes.
How many other children?
We have 3 others. And
They raised their children. You were having a problem with your child. So let me tell you what you did. You were having a problem, you and Brenda, Michelle, Sonia, whatever her name is. You were having a problem with your child. You couldn't deal with it. So you call your father. Help me out, take him. Then you take him back. While he's in your care, goes out and he commits a couple of burglaries. Now the courts are going to take him. The courts have evidently decided that you are not fit to take care of him, and your former wife, Michelle, Brenda, Sonia, is not prepared to take care of him. So, they call your father. With your permission. And he takes him. And he can't control him. Neither could you. So where you get this countersuit from? You've been reading too many fiction books. But let's get to your lawsuit. How much money did you send to your father in the almost year that your son lived there?
$100. Gift certificate. For Sears. For JCPenney's.
How many children do you have?
How many do I have?
That was
I
my
have
question.
one.
This one?
Yes.
No, he has 3 others that he don't bother to claim or support.
Like Just a second. How many children do you have?
I have one.
You don't have 3 others? What is it? You don't
Well,
have
I have another child, except she got remarried and she had the child adopted from her new husband.
So that accounts for 1. And what about 2 more?
2 more?
2 more. You have 2 more?
No.
That you don't. I'm not talking about that you see, that you don't see, that you support, that you don't support, that you have.
I have 3. Well.
So I assume that since you say you only have 1 child, that I don't even have to ask the question whether you don't support the other 3 children. What kind of work do you do?
I work for a company called West Sanitation, put air fresheners in restrooms.
And how long have you been working for them?
6 years.
How old are you, sir?
40 years old.
You know, there comes a time when you have to stop visiting your problems on your parents. You've got a lot of other problems. Meanwhile, the one major problem that you have was a 15-year-old child. You asked your parents to take some responsibility for him, and then you had some financial problems, and in a whole year you sent him $100. You know, you can't feed a goldfish on $100.
Well,
He says something rather interesting, sir, in his answer, which I'm sort of curious about. Did you apply for welfare for him when he was living with you?
Yes, I did.
And how much did you collect for welfare while he was living with you?
Yes, sir. Remember?
Excuse me.
I think it was 2 payments of $250. That was towards the end of '96.
Yeah, I only got 2. They helped me out with 2 months.
2 months. And how much did you receive for those 2 months?
It was a total of $500, because it was $240 a month, so it was going to $480.
Yeah, because Richard had a $1,200 hospital bill when he was sniffing gas.
Okay, but they paid that.
Right, that's how we had to go for this.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
If he cared, he wouldn't be doing what he did to him up there in Utah. Beating him up, you know, giving him too much medication.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Fred Denault wants his son, Rick, to pay him back for caring for his son, Richard.
I have a sense that you haven't seen the last of this responsibility. But right now, it's your son's responsibility. You have a lawsuit before me, and I try to keep things simple. You know, the old KISS principle, keep it simple. Your agreement was for $1,100. You got $480. I am not giving you credit, sir, for the $100 gift certificate that you sent to your son for clothes. It's ridiculous. So I'm awarding you $620. What do you want to say?
He was not with him for 11 months. He was just with him for 9 months. 6 months in 1996 from June to December. Then I brought him back. Then he went back on 5/27 of 97. Then I brought him back 3 months after that.
Is that about right, sir?
Was it 527? I'm sorry, I'll stand corrected. It was 527.
Okay. So then we have to reduce this award by $200, making the award $420.
Can I say?
Is your son currently under medical care, sir?
No, he isn't.
Why not?
He is. He doesn't need it. He is improved.
Is he in school?
He was going to a non-public school. Yesterday we had an IUP meeting. He is now going to a public school now. I have letters stating.
So he's doing okay?
Oh, he's doing 100% better. 100% better.
Well, that's very good.
He's an A and B student.
Good.
I have his report card.
You doing better?
Yes. And he's going to NA to get off because when he was with my father, he was on that Zoloft for so long. So the courts wanted him to go to NA to get off of it, you know, from the withdrawals and stuff off the Zoloft.
What? Stupid isn't written here, sir. They do not send you to NA meetings because you're on Zoloft.
That's what the...
No. They send you to NA meetings, sir, if you're on illegal drugs, not if you're on prescription medication that you're taking. They don't send you to NA meetings. What do you, I mean, I'm not
Well,
stupid.
I know that, so I'm just saying that when I brought him back from Utah, we went to court, and this is what the judge put him...
The judge may have put him there, but not because he was taking Zoloft. Maybe because he was taking a little crack, maybe because he was taking a little cocaine, maybe because he was smoking a little dust. For all those other things, maybe he went to NA meetings. Does that sound right to you?
Maybe he was doing it in Utah.
Does that sound right to you?
I don't know about
No,
with
I
me.
don't know.
Maybe it was with him because I brought him.
Hey. When you sent him to your father the first time, you sent him there because he was doing drugs, right?
Right. Mother and I.
Yeah. What kind of drugs was he doing?
I don't know. He was living with his mother
Well, you should know you're his father.
because they went...
You should know you're his father.
And he lived across the street from his son.
How can I figure that?
Sir, you should know. And they don't send someone to NA meetings because they're taking prescription drugs. Don't say dumb things, especially to me. But I'm pleased to see that you're doing better. Right?
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Seems to me that if it was recently that you spent some time with your grandfather and grandmother, even though you may not think so now, it may have been a good break for you, because if it wasn't for them, you would have been in juvenile hall, right?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
And that wouldn't have been a very good thing.
No.
You wouldn't have liked that, right?
No.
So they really saved you from going to jail.
I went.
What?
I went.
You went to jail. They saved you from spending more time in jail.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Did you thank them?
Yes.
Do you write to them?
No.
Do you think you should?
They told me and my father they didn't want nothing to do with us.
I think your grandparents probably would like to hear from you, even if it's just an occasional note. You think you can do that?
Yes.
Good. That's all.
Party's on excuse. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He doesn't care for Richard, his grandson. He don't care. If he cared, he wouldn't be doing what he did to him up there in Utah. Beating him up, you know, giving him too much medication.
He's very important. I love him. I wish he was still at our house.
I'm trying to get my son to take care of his son.
I am take care of him.
And he hasn't done it ever since the kid was 3 years old. He pays $50 a month child support, which is really a lot of money.
Order, all rise. Quiet, please. Your Honor, this is case number 467 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Stahl. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Ms. Davis, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were involved in a relationship which is now over.
That is correct.
And during that time, you either made loans or had expenses that you claim he is at least partially responsible for. You say that's in excess of about $2,000.
That is correct.
He acknowledges that he owes you some money, about $1,500, according to you. However, and this is the interesting part of this case, you two folks were on a game show together.
Yes.
When was that?
We taped the show last July, and the show aired this past January.
And you won.
Yes, everything. Won it all.
And Mr. Stahl says that you decided to keep all the merchandise.
That is also correct.
So he said that the amount that he owes you is more than offset by these prizes that you won.
I disagree.
Well, you admit that you were on this game show.
Yes.
What was the name of the game show?
The show was called Shop Till You Drop.
Tell me how that's played.
Well, it's like it's a shopping mall, and you've got a couple of physical stunts, and if you win your physical stunt, you get to go shopping at these stores. And we won both of them and went shopping twice.
But as a couple?
As a couple.
You won?
We won.
What kind of prizes did you win?
We won a ruby and diamond cocktail ring.
That wouldn't look good on you.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes.
It does look good on me, though. A bedroom set, an air filter, some silver, a coffee tea service, some kitchen utensils, a label maker, wallpaper, an entertainment center, and a trip to Mexico.
What'd you do with the trip to Mexico?
Nothing yet.
But you have it.
I have it.
She has everything.
Right. Now, Ms. Davis, you tell me why you think you're entitled to keep all these prizes.
I do not feel I'm entitled to keep all these prizes. Through my relationship with Kirk, it ended up being so painful for me that I became vengeful, and all of these things showed up at my house. I have everything. And I thought, my feelings are so hurt that I just am going to keep this. Just some stuff to sort of allay my hurt. It's not what I should have done. I look at the stuff and I look at the situation that has been caused with my relationship with him.
Why are you so angry with him?
He hurt me. This is a man who for 2 years has told me he loved me, has told me that he wanted to marry me, wanted to make me the mother of his children and any future children that happened after that.
And it was absolutely the truth.
So why are you so angry? It didn't work out. You think he was playing with you?
He was lying to me.
What makes you think he was lying to you?
He told me that he and his wife were separated and that he was going to divorce her. I gave him every opportunity to divorce her.
You're a married man, Mr. Stahl.
We were separated for 4 years.
He told me they were separated for 10.
We were married for 10, legally separated for 4. She knew this. She asked me to get divorced. I could not afford the divorce, so I talked to my alleged wife, and she went ahead and paid for the divorce. So we got divorced. That made her angry that she's the one that actually divorced me. That really upset her. I said, what is the difference? At least we're divorced.
Right.
She wasn't having none of it.
Why were you unhappy about that?
No. It's that I had gone to the courthouse for him, had gotten the paperwork for him. I had bought a book for him on how to file for divorce on his own. I had filled out the paperwork. I had done everything to help him get this divorce, which he kept telling me he was going to get. He didn't ever tell me that he was talking with his wife and saying that maybe she would pay for it.
But let me understand this. Ms. Davis, you were angry because he was in communication with his now ex-wife, and they agreed between the two of them without telling you that she was going to be the plaintiff in the divorce action after you had filled out all the paperwork.
No.
So then what are you angry about?
I'm angry that he told me for 2 years that he was going to divorce this woman and didn't.
But then he did. He's divorced. I mean, is that what you're angry?
That's great. But in the meantime, here's a person who was telling me he was going to, pay his debt to me and never did. He gave me $500 once against my visa for some repairs that I helped him pay for his truck. Okay, because I helped him to get car insurance. I remember being at work and doing customer service in between calls, calling insurance agents for him so he could get insurance on his truck to get his license back, which has since been revoked by the DMV.
All right, don't go into all that stuff. Do you have children with your former wife?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children?
3.
Do you see them?
As often as possible.
He does now. He was not seeing them when we were together, and nor was he paying child support.
Well, that's really not particularly relevant. Listen, quite frankly, Ms. Davis, I don't understand why he's so angry with that. He's got a former wife with whom he has 3 children, and if he could listen to me, and if he can resolve his marital status with his former wife in such a way that makes her more comfortable, because she's got the kids living with her, I assume.
Yes.
So, I've been in this business a long time. She said, I don't want to be the defendant in the action. I'll be the plaintiff.
Yes.
Is that what happened?
Absolutely.
Aha. Now, do you understand that?
No,
Ms. Davis, listen to me. Listen to me. So that's what he did. He said, listen, as long as I'm divorced, what difference does it make? You're not together anymore, and I have to resolve this case, which is really not a very difficult case to resolve.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She's a vicious little thing. If she's not on her medication, she busts plates over your head.
And later today.
Goodbye. Good luck. May Obi-Wan Kenobi be with you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chrissy Davis broke up with Kirk Stahl. She's suing for bills. He's suing for game show prizes.
She says you owe her about $2,500. You say you owe her about $1,500, right?
I got the proof.
Shh. Listen to me. And you have countersued her for $3,000.
Yes.
For what you allege is half of the prizes.
You can have all of the prizes.
Listen to me. I'm going to make a very simple order. On your direct claim against him, I am awarding you $2,000. And I am directing that all of the prizes on his counterclaim be sold, and the proceeds of the sale be divided between the two of you equally. Do you understand?
Yes.
So she's going to have a giant sale, and whatever the proceeds are, I mean, you can be involved with that if you like.
Well, I'm going to say, being as vengeful as she wanted to be here, or is, what's to say she don't want to turn around and sell them for $1 to her family or whatever, because I'm a mover. I'm always out on the street. I'm busy
Listen
constantly.
to me, sir. There is a way of, Miss Davis, you cannot do that. If this has to be...
I want him to take them. I want him to come to my house and pick them up and get them.
Just a second. Are you prepared to give him everything?
He can have it. I want the ring. I want the wallpaper. And he can have the rest.
No, because he's late.
He can have the ring. Here, have the ring.
Hang on to the ring.
Let me see it.
I just want this to be over. I was wrong to want revenge against this person for breaking my heart. However, he has amassed $2,500 in bills in my name, and it went to collections, and it's affected my credit.
It's very unfortunate, because if things had worked out between the two of you, you wouldn't be here today. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So you're angry, and I understand why you're angry. He acknowledges that he owes you money. The problem is, how are we going to resolve the issue of these game prizes? All these prizes.
I just wanted to be on TV. I just wanted to do a game show. It was so much fun. I loved seeing myself on this game show.
That's why we're here today.
And it was wrong of me to hold them for a bailment, to say, you start paying me the money you owe me, and then I'll start releasing the prizes to you. That was wrong. But since I knew I was doing that wrong, I got the 1099 in my name, so at least I was paying the taxes on it and not him.
She took my name off of that. I don't know if that's illegal or not.
Well, which of the items do you want, sir? Maybe we can resolve it that way.
He can have it all. He can have it all. I just want the $2,500. All I wanted was a judgment that said he owed it.
Just a second. Just a second.
I didn't even... Sorry.
Just a second. How does that sound to you, sir?
I'll take it all.
Good. But you have to give her the $2,500 and show her. And you're making out like a bandit according to your answer. According to your answer, the property's, listen to me, according to your answer, the property is worth $6,000, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you're going to get $6,000 worth of property that you can go to sell and at least get $2,500 for it, right?
Correct.
Good. Make arrangements within the next week to turn over everything to him, right? Everything to him, and judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. You okay?
He doesn't see a lie as a lie.
No, I don't. I said a cheat as a cheat. I wish it would have been different. I want to spend the rest of my life with you.
You sure showed me.
You showed me. She's a vicious little thing. She's out on her medication. She busts plates over your head. One night she broke a dinner plate over my head as I was leaving. The other night she scratched the heck out of me. Guess I should have had you arrested, but no. That was love. She knows I love her.
And now the next case.
Parties on Martin versus Battles. Step forward, please.
24-year-old law clerk Jennifer Martin is suing her ex-boyfriend, electrician Scott Battles, 28, for bills and assault.
Ms. Martin, you have a laundry list of things of monies that you allege that Mr. Battle owes you from the time you were living together.
Yes, I do, Your Honor. I also have photocopies of all the canceled checks that I wrote out to him, plus some personal items that were his that I paid for that I never received the money for. He did damage to the house that we were renting. I have photographs of all the damage that he did to the house. The landlady walked through the house after he left, pointed out all of the stuff that he did that were changes that were not authorized by her in writing. And because of that, I lost my security deposit that I paid out to him. That he gave me a false address when he moved. He never gave me a phone number to get a hold of him. He lied to me when he left and said that he was going to give me my security deposit back. And he basically is hiding from me now at this point.
He's not hiding. He's right here.
Well, up until now, he was hiding from me.
I don't owe her anything. Not one penny.
Well, tell me why you don't owe her anything. Then I'm going to send you both outside to go over these bills. Because
Okay.
I'm not going to go over 30 bills.
I've got the bills actually broken down, an entire list of exactly what was paid, how much her rent was, and the fact that, I don't owe her a penny. As far as some of the other things she's saying, I did not do any damage to the house. The things that she said that was altered from the house, that's between me and the landlady and not her.
What about her security deposit?
Her security deposit, I told her I would give her after I got the final bills from the house. She lived there almost a month after I left.
That's a lie.
When I got the bills, they were extremely high, and they ate up all of her security deposit.
Like what bills?
I got a phone bill for over $500 for starters.
That's interesting. Okay. You see how thick those files are? Right? Your files? Take your files, go in the back, sit down, go over Did you see the last month's bills?
No, he never showed me any bills.
Take them outside.
Okay. Step up, please.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
He's a liar and he's a scam.
I'm sorry.
He's still married. That's the thing that pisses me off.
It's just her
That's what makes me so mad.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Martin claims former boyfriend Scott Battles assaulted her. He says she was distraught when they broke up and destroyed his property.
Order.
Okay, folks. It's my understanding that there is at least some sort of resolution here with regard to a dollar figure, except for one major issue. Is that right?
Yeah, Your Honor. We came to an agreement on the bills, and we worked
So
all
what's
of that
left,
out.
Ms. Martin?
The punitive damages that I'm suing him for, $1,500. The reason I think I'm entitled to punitive damages is because for the last 3 months of our relationship, I had to call the police on him several times because he got very physically abusive. He jumped in my car window, he grabbed me by my throat while he was in my car window, told me to roll down my window, and I have electric windows. After he pulled the keys out, then told me, well, if I break the window when I get out, that's your own problem, not mine. He had thrown me up against the living room wall. He had punched me in the middle of my back, and every time I called the police said that it was mutual combat or it was domestic violence and there was nothing they could do about it, and that I would go to jail for assault and battery.
That doesn't sound like a good job by the police.
So that's what they told me every time I called them.
Because it's not true.
Okay.
It's not true at all.
You develop a sense of personalities, people's personalities. He is the passive-aggressive type. You, however, are not a shrinking violet. You remember this incident in the car with the windshield?
Yes.
You want to tell me your version of those events, sir?
She was upset. She was going to leave. She had my phone. She said, I'm not going to call anybody, take the phone with her. I reached through the window to get the phone, which was on the dash. And when I did, she rolled the window up on me.
You mean on your hand?
No, on the middle of my
Oh,
body.
you mean you leaned in?
Right.
That could smart.
So the first thing I did was basically turn the ignition off because she was still attempting to roll it up.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much after, once I struggled a little bit, scraped to get out, and that's all there was. She went in the house, called the cops.
Now, after that incident, did you continue to live together after the police were called?
For a short time?
Yes, for a short time.
Yes. Now, do you remember hitting her in her back?
No.
You remember throwing her against a wall?
No.
How many times were the police called?
A total of 3 times.
And she called them?
For different instances.
Mhm.
Yes. Not, she called twice, and my mother called once.
No, they were called 4 times, Scott. And
Your
I
mother,
called
this is-
3 times.
Right. I called the police myself twice.
Step up here. Do you live in the same building?
No.
No.
What caused you to call the police?
Well, she called me early in the morning at 7 o'clock in the morning and said, you better get out here and you have 1 hour to get Scott's belongings out of this house or they're going to be trashed out in the rain. Which when my husband and I went over there in a half hour, they were being trashed, broken, trashed out in the rain.
What do you mean they were being broken, trashed out in the rain?
She broke everything. She took everything she could and was just like a maniac, just throwing,
I got there
just throwing it
a while
out
after
in the
that.
rain. And the police came, and the
Did you do
sister.
that? This is after I called and found out that he had been cheating on me for 3 months, that he was living with me.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Okay, let's deal with the issue of punitive damages. Listen to me. When a relationship doesn't work out,
sorry.
When a relationship doesn't work out, you put a period and it's over.
Right.
And it sounds to me like the two of you probably did some nasties to each other. But you don't live with them anymore?
No, I don't.
You've resolved all your other financial differences?
Yes.
Correct? Goodbye. Good luck. What's the name of that guy from Star Wars?
Luke Skywalker.
What? No, Obi-Wan Kenobi. May Obi-Wan Kenobi be with you.
Parties are excused, you may. Can't step out the back door to your right.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I brought you to court because you stole money from me, Scott, okay? I brought you to court because you're married, you're still married, and you're sleeping with your new little girlfriend that you're living with. He's a liar, and he's a scam, and
I'm sorry,
he's still married. That's the thing that pisses me off.
It's just her.
That's what makes me so mad. He's still legally married, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And she's also dating and living with somebody else, so you know.
Yeah, like, you know, why don't you shut the hell up?
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, number 93 on the calendar in the matter of Bishop versus Estrus. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir. Have a seat.
Miss Bishop, you rented a condo from Miss Estrus. According to your complaint, the rent was $700 a month. You lived there for a while, left, and she retained some of your security deposit. How much did she retain?
She retained all but...
How much was your full security deposit?
$700.
And how much did she give you back?
She gave me back $454.07.
Now, I have a countersuit by you for $2,000. Quite frankly, Miss Estrus, I don't understand what it's for. But I assume you're going to tell me what this $2,000...
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. A minute. You found her apartment how?
It was in fair condition. There was no...
No, how did you find the apartment?
Oh, I'm sorry. I answered an ad in the newspaper. The ad said elegant condo, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, room in the condo, and it said it was located in Beverly Hills, and the rent was $600 a month.
Was she supposed to be living there at the same time?
No, she said one of the conditions was that she was moving to San Francisco. She had an apartment there. She had work there. She would never be at the condo, and that my cat and I could move into the condo.
So you stayed for a while?
Well, I brought in all my... She had no furniture, nothing. So I brought in all of my furniture, my artwork, high-end artwork.
Okay. And then how long did you remain before you vacated?
I vacated March 24th. They gave her notice on February 28th of this year, 1997.
So you vacated 3/24?
Yes.
And had you paid for March's rent?
Yes, I have.
I assume you had. Is that correct, Ms. Estrus? Is it correct that you paid March's rent?
Correct, that she paid March's rent, which was the last deposit, yes.
Fine. Now, can you tell me why you retained part of her security deposit?
Oh, absolutely, Your Honor. I terminated her lease, which I sent her a letter, because of the fact that she did not pay the electricity bill. And in my rental agreement, it says here that she will be responsible for all the electricity, and I, on the other hand, will be responsible for the water, the gas, and amenities, which comes to a total of $200 a month. Here are all my receipts indicating that I paid the $195 per month to the Home Association.
Does this lease provide that you pay the electric?
Yes.
Well, then
what happened, Your Honor, is this. On February 5th, she had the electric put into my name, and the way I found out about it was without my knowledge, without notice. The electric company notified me that I needed to pay an $85 deposit, or they were going to shut off the electricity. I was not aware of it at all during that time.
What you're complaining about really is that you put the electric bill in your name without your permission.
Or knowledge.
Or knowledge. Did you do that?
No, Your Honor. Actually, I notified her on several occasions that my bill was past due, and I called them up, and she says, "Oh, I'm going to make arrangements." She never made arrangements. Then she'd leave me letters saying that
Ms.
she was...
Estrus, could you close that?
Oh, sorry. She'd leave me...
I asked you a question.
Yes.
My question was a simple one. It requires a yes or a no answer. I'm going to say it again because maybe you didn't understand me the first time. Did you cause the bill to be put in her name?
Absolutely.
Well, first you just told me no a second ago.
I definitely did after my
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
All right. So you called the company and said put the bill in her name. You can't do that.
Well, I did it because...
Well, but you can't do it. You told me why you did it. You did it because she said that the bills were delinquent.
Because she didn't pay my bills. Why should I have bad credit? She gave me bad credit.
But you can't call somebody and say, I want you to put a bill in somebody else's name.
Well, I told her previously that I was doing it, so there's that.
Let me ask
She knew
you this
about
question, Miss Estrus.
What?
Did you tell them who you were when you called the phone company?
Of course,
or did you
and
say...
I told Betty that I was putting it in her name. And
Listen,
you're an outright liar. Please be
Miss
quiet while I'm
Estrus,
speaking.
Miss Estrus, I don't believe you, madam, that any utility company will open an account in somebody else's name unless that person calls them.
Well, she gave me all the information to open it. I told her that I was putting it in her name. I had her information.
Well, I know you had her information. You mean her social security number and that sort of thing. You must have had that in order for you to open the account, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you had her permission to do it. We understand each other?
Yes, we do.
All right. They don't keep me around here because I'm gorgeous. They keep me around here because I'm smart. Now, you're suing her for $2,000. I'd like you to tell me why.
Okay. I'm going to start off with the damage.
All right.
The carpet cleaning. Here's all the...
I don't want to see that. Tell me what the damage.
Okay, the damage is where she has wine stains on the carpet. We tried to get them out. There was holes in the carpet, and she had the whole place with paintings everywhere. So there's holes all over the walls. We had to go in and replaster the walls and repaint everything.
So what'd you give her back $454 for?
Because at that point, that's all I had accounted for. I'm not living at that apartment, so all I could account for was the screens and the cat that directed my blinds and the electrical bill. That was the paperwork I had in front of me. She told me how many days I had left to get this back or I was in trouble. I have her letter right here.
You know, you may talk fast, but in order to convince me, you have to talk logically.
Okay.
Because otherwise, I think you're full of baloney. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm going to explain why to you. If you knew about the screens that you say she damaged, if you knew about the blinds, which you say she damaged, right, then you would have had to have gone into the apartment and seen holes in the wall that you said she made, wine stains on the carpet that you said she was responsible for. You had to have done that.
Correct, Your Honor, but can I explain something to you? I had to leave for Puerto Rico the next day. So all I could take care of was what I had to take care of at that time.
All right, now let's go to this. You say, assuming that she damaged the screen, assuming that she had wine stains on the carpet, how much was that all together to have fixed?
That was $2,000 in addition to...
Just a minute! That's out of the question. Show me bills for $2,000 for that.
Okay, sure. And my mother has all the...
I'm not interested in your mother. Show me the bills for $2,000 to fix the screen and to clean the carpet.
Okay, here you go.
Minute materials. What is this piece of paper here?
Do you want to explain, Mother?
I want you to explain.
Because my mother had to supervise it. I was not in town.
Supervise what?
She had to supervise the fixing of the holes in the plaster in the walls, and that's how much they charge. And she paid for it. And you want to talk to her about it? Lucy, why don't you stand up, please?
Gonna put a robe on her or what?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today...
It seemed like whenever the payments come due, we're broke up and everything, but she comes around lollygag and walking slobbers with me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Betty Bishop is suing her Beverly Hills landlady, Christina Esteras, for her deposit, utility bills, and care of her cat for 4 months.
Problem is, when you try to fool somebody, you always get caught, especially in a court.
Well, I'm not
You
trying to
didn't.
fool anybody.
Oh, sure you are. You didn't replace the carpet. You got an estimate.
No, I got an estimate. Correct.
You got an estimate. You didn't pay us a penny.
That's true. Did I say I paid
in
a
the
penny?
living room
I
and
said
the
an
bedroom.
estimate. That's what she owes me.
Give me a break. Listen, bottom line is, you gave her back a certain amount of money. And I don't believe your excuses that you were going to Puerto Rico and you had to leave the next day and all that other kind of stuff. I think what happened is you filed a countersuit against her when she sued you, right? Is that right?
Of course that's right.
As far as I'm concerned, there are certain things here that maybe
Your Honor, I
maybe
was told
she's responsible for, maybe. But when you try to pad it...
There's no padding.
Oh, of
She
course
asked
there
me.
is. Of course there is. Now, you are responsible, madam, for the electric bill, because that's what it says. That's $85. Now, I don't know what the other...
Your Honor, can I...
$246 is. What's the other $246?
Here we go. This is the check that my mother had to pay. That was $58.50. And
For
here's
what?
the repair on the 3-day blinds. And
That's a
here's
lie.
and here's what that we bought the blinds right after Betty had moved in. Brand new blinds. They were $200, and her cat destroyed them. He's my witness. That he saw that her destroy them.
Just a second.
May I
Did you say...
check?
Oh, you said, telling me, madam, that this witness saw her cat destroy the blinds.
Of
Is that what
course.
you're telling me? Step up, sir.
How you lie?
Say not a word. Tell me your name.
My name Warren.
Warren?
Yes.
What's your last name?
Satinu.
Sir, I want you to tell me whether... Now, look at me very carefully.
Yes.
I want you to tell me whether you saw her cat destroy blinds.
I saw her cat play with the blind.
You saw her cat play with them. Did you see any damage to the blinds
They do.
when the cat was playing with them?
When they by the window.
Either you're not following me or you got her disease, sir.
No.
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see the cat play with the blinds and cause damage to the blinds?
Yes, I do.
Tell me about it.
The cat basically like to stay by the window.
Yes.
And then basically they scratch the screen. And when the blind, sometime when the blind down, the cat just go to where the rope and the blind, where the mini blind.
Yeah. So you actually saw the cat destroy the blind, or you just saw the cat playing with the blinds?
Actually, see the cat destroy the blind.
I don't believe you.
Your Honor,
They basically play where the rope is.
I believe that you saw the cat play where the rope was.
Yeah.
That's not my question to you, sir. My question is, did you see the cat damage the blind? Not play with the blind, but damage it.
No, sir.
Right. Now sit down.
Your Honor.
Shut.
Your Honor,
Just a second.
Your Honor, may I add something that I think is a very important piece of information right now that hasn't been brought up to this point? And that is that Mrs. Steros, when she left the next day after I moved in, said she would return in a week or two to get her cat, which was much larger and heavier than mine. She did not pick her cat up for 4.5 months later, which meant that I had to care for her cat.
What'd you leave your cat in her apartment
Well,
for?
I didn't leave my cat in her apartment.
Didn't you? Just a minute.
No, my mother came and got the cat.
Oh, just a second. When did your mother come and get the cat?
It was in January that she came and got the cat.
And when did you rent
the cat did damage my, those screens were brand new, and that cat damaged those screens and the
How
blinds.
long did you leave your cat in the apartment with her?
I left the cat in the apartment with her for 3 months, and she agreed to take care of the cat.
All right.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
We get the swapping slobbers and then sticking her tongue in my ear and stuff, and I forget everything.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Betty Bishop is suing her Beverly Hills landlady, Christina Esteras, for her deposit, utility bills, and care of her cat for 4 months.
You are suing her for $246.
Correct.
I am charging you for the electrical bill of $85. Shut up. But she owes you $161, the rest of your security deposit that she withheld.
Plus.
You, madam.
Plus.
Plus
I
nothing.
had damage.
Plus nothing.
Okay.
$161. You, madam, are countersuing up for $2,000. You are entitled to zero. Nothing. The countersuit is dismissed. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $161.
Parties are excused. You may step
Well,
out.
then what about my blinds? So you're saying that she didn't do that either?
And now the next case.
Parties on Hawkins versus Steimel. Step forward, please.
Retired builder Gary Harkins is suing professional psychic 43-year-old Evelyn Steimel for a video camera he says she was supposed to pay off when they were dating.
Mr. Hawkins, According to your paper, sir, you were dating the defendant on and off for a couple of years, and last Christmas you bought her a camcorder.
That's correct.
So this camcorder was sort of half gift and half not.
I'm on a fixed income. I'm not able to work. I just had a liver transplant.
So tell me about this gift that you made to her.
Each person that I cared about, I spent about $100. All right, she wanted this camera real bad.
So you're saying each person on your Christmas list you were going to spend $100
Yes.
for? Okay.
But my son, my daughter, and she wanted a camera, and she wanted it before Christmas so she could take some Christmas pictures. I went down there. My credit is good, and I went to the store and asked them about the camcorder. Could they put it in her name? They could not put it in her name. I was willing to put in my name. I put $100 down on it for her Christmas present, and we made agreement that she would make the payments on the camera.
Okay, so it was a Christmas gift of just $100 and it went towards a camera.
Yes, ma'am.
How much was the whole camera?
$702.52.
$702. Okay. Now, if I understand you correctly, sir, $100 of that was a gift.
Was a gift, yes.
So that brings it down to $602.
Yeah, 602.52.
Okay. Now, are you still dating him?
No, ma'am.
When was the last time you saw him?
Today, in court.
Prior to seeing him in court, where did you see him?
You mean on a dating period?
No. Prior to seeing him in court today, where did you see him?
Last week. To make a payment on a camera. Or actually, 2 weeks ago, I made a payment on a camera.
Where do you live?
In DeSoto, or I live now in St. Louis. My house burned. I lived in DeSoto, but I live in St. Louis, Missouri now.
And where does he live?
In DeSoto, Missouri.
How'd you get here?
I traveled by camper.
By camper?
Yes, ma'am.
Who came in the camper?
Myself and him, and I lied. I said I'd seen him today in a camper.
Lying is not a good thing to do.
No, it's not.
Now, I'm going to ask you again, do you still date him?
No, I don't date him.
But you just came with him?
We traveled together because I'm afraid of airplanes.
Okay. Did you discuss this camera on your trip?
No, not at all.
Now, you made some payments on this camera?
Yes, I've made $350 payments.
Is that right, sir?
No.
When you say you made $350 worth of payments, how did you make the payments?
I gave it to him in cash because that's the way he wanted it. I mean, he's filed this on me once before, and we went back together, and he dropped it. And now we're broke up again, and he filed it again.
Well,
I pay him cash. I paid him twice. It's
Just a second.
$100
Let me
each
take a
time.
look at this. Mr. Harkins, let me read you from what this says, sir. Your complaint that you swore to. Now, with us fighting and not getting along, half the time I'm stuck with a bill. That's what you said. So how could you tell me she didn't make any payments? Don't gulp.
No, I'm not gulping.
Well, but that's what you wrote here, sir. You said half the time I'm stuck with the bill.
I am making all the payments.
Listen.
I am making the payments. It seems like whenever the payments come due, we're broke up and everything, but she comes around lollygag and slobbers with me. And
Mr. Harkins, Mr. Harkins,
Yes.
listen to me very carefully, sir. A moment ago, you just said to me she hasn't made any payments.
No.
In your sworn statement, you said about half the time she hasn't made payments. Which one is true, sir?
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Either you're lying now or you were lying when you swore to this complaint.
Sometimes I go ahead and just make the payment because of she kisses pretty good, Your Honor. And what is it?
Oh, good.
And I
Mr.
forget
Harkins, Mr. Harkins, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. This case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Oh, he's excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Something wrong with me for that gift? What's wrong with No?
Gary, please, stop it.
Well, look at her. What's wrong with her? She smears lipstick all over me. I forget everything. Comes up there and what is it? Gary, let's forget about everything. Let's be good to each other and everything else. And we get to swapping slobbers and sticking her tongue in my ear and stuff. And I forget everything.
I don't do that.
All rise. Quiet, please. Judges number 278 on the calendar, the matter of Atkinson versus Cope. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
How old are you?
I'm 5.
Did you know how old she was when you started to date her?
Yes.
How old was she?
15.
And you were 23?
Yes, ma'am.
That's very dumb.
It's a lesson well learned.
Because in addition to everything else, it's a felony. Right?
Yes.
Now, Miss Atkinson, this is your mother? Mm-hmm. You're 17 now.
Yes, I am.
So the suit was really filed by you on behalf of your daughter. You say that you loaned him money.
Loaned him $2,000.
For what?
Repairs on his pickup truck. Bills that I paid for him.
Like what?
Gas and power. Very, very, very often, he would take me to the bank to get $20 out so he could get back and forth to work for a night. I have a copy of all my bank receipts for the time that we were dating.
Where did you meet him?
He is an old friend of mine's boyfriend's brother.
Yeah.
And we were just introduced one day, and we were friends for about 5 months, and then it went from there.
Did your mother know that you were dating him?
Yes, she did.
Did you think it was a good idea?
He wasn't like a normal 23-year-old. He was more like a 19-year-old. Seemed, and they were friends first.
That's not unusual. So I was 23 going on 19, and your daughter was 15 going on 16.
Yeah.
So you didn't think it was so terrible. Did you know that they were intimate?
Not for a long time, no.
So you took some money from her?
The loan was offered to me. What I did borrow from her, yes. Didn't take.
Well, tell me.
It was offered.
Right. And you took it?
It was offered
It was offered several times, and I did take it. Yes, I borrowed, yes.
What?
Not $2,000.
How much?
$800.
Well, $800 in one lump sum.
Yes, ma'am.
We're talking about little bits at a time.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
All the withdrawals listed on there, there's only, I think, one deposit that I made for my birthday on April 8th. All the rest of the withdrawals were not from me personally using the money, but from him using the money.
You mean using it to go out on a date, maybe?
No, to take it and pay his bills, or to, for instance, I bought him a differential. He needed a differential. I loaned him the $150 as a deposit down on the differential for his...
Does that sound familiar?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I've been self-sufficient since I was 18 years old. I paid all my bills. No. And no, she did not pay no gas, power, or electric bill. She loaned me, which was offered, $800, which I paid back. Now, I don't know where she comes up with this, no.
How much did you have in this account when you started dating?
To start out with, $2,200.
And prior to dating him, had you taken any money out of that account?
No, that account was saved up. I've been saving that money since I was 6 years old to go and buy a car when I was 16 or to go to college.
So what you're telling me is there were no withdrawals made from that account?
None. Zero.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Step up here, please, with your daughter. When did you find out that she was helping him out with money?
The first time I found out about it was his ex-girlfriend left a message on our answering machine telling Kelly that she would never get her $2,000 back, and a few other things she left on. And that was the first time I realized, uh-oh, she's really done it. She's given him some money. And I was afraid she wasn't going to get it back.
And when Mom confronted me, I did lie to her because I was trying to protect him.
When did you break up with him?
When? At the end of August.
Why?
He put his boot through the window of my parents' truck, kicked me in the face with it.
Why?
Lots of fights. We were in the middle of another fight, and it ended up in a domestic dispute.
Did you call the police?
Yes, I did.
In addition to the $2,000 that you say you took out of your account and gave to him, you're suing for $5,000 and the other for medical bills. For what?
During the time that we were together, I contracted a venereal disease, a virus called HPV. There's a letter from my doctor and bills, my medical bills for the last year.
Did you have sexual relations with anyone other than him during this period of time?
No.
What are you laughing about? Why is that a funny question?
No, just like that, no, no.
Well, if you have some information that she had sexual relations with somebody else, I'll hear you, sir.
She had a sexual relationship with a very close friend of mine.
When?
When? During the time that we were dating. Okay? The money that she loaned me, the $800, okay, yes, I did pay back. This was the doorway to open the account, and once the money had started being removed, the $800 that was loaned to me, then she went ahead and removed more money. Okay, whenever I caught up to this, and I confronted her about this, you know, spending money to go here, go there, I said, Kelly, you can't do that. That's not right.
Show me proof that you paid back the $800.
Show me proof that I borrowed $2,000.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When you fool around with jail bait, you sort of accept the consequences of that, sir.
And later today...
You're not a man. You're a little weasel. Your whole family.
Just put him away for 20 years. So.
You know what? You're all going to jail.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kelly Atkinson is suing her former boyfriend, Daniel Cope, for money he took when they were dating. She also claims Daniel gave her a sexually transmitted disease and wants him to pay for her medical bills.
Now, you answered one question that I posed to you, sir, with a different answer. I asked you how you knew that she was having sexual relations with somebody else at the same time she was having sexual relations with you. And you are telling me about $800.
How do I know?
Yes.
Because I drove over to my buddy's house. That's where she'd done spent the night instead of over at my house like she told her mother.
Yes?
Yes. Okay, I caught them.
You caught them what?
I caught them in the house. Half dressed.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No, it does not.
Well, would you tell me what he's talking about if you
I
know?
have no idea.
Well, tell me about it, sir.
What do you want to know about it?
She was supposed to be spending the night with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And?
And?
She wasn't there?
She was not there.
So you went looking for her?
I went looking for her, yes.
Well, I'm making this very easy for you.
Well, thank you.
Good. How much are your medical bills?
So far, out of pocket is $895. And I'm going to need many more.
Well, you know, you're partially responsible, madam. So's your mother.
Mm-hmm.
In my judgment. You said it. He was 23, going on 19. Probably more like 15. So, he's no genius. Your daughter is 15, going on 16, and clearly she's no genius. You're supposed to be smart enough to put your foot down and say, I don't want you to see this guy because he's too old for you, and I don't think it's appropriate. At your age, at age 15, to be dating somebody who's 23 is not appropriate. Maybe when you're 30 and he's 38, it's a different story. But right now, it's not appropriate. That's your job as a mother.
Okay, now whenever Mom did find out about his age and how much we were hanging out together, I was lying to her, again, to try to protect him.
Your mother still says she knew very well that you were dating him and that she gave her tacit approval because she felt that he was immature enough to be almost a contemporary of yours.
And I trusted
Which is
him.
a kind way of saying it.
Very kind.
Very kind. So you bear part of this responsibility. You know. Have you had yourself tested, sir?
I had myself tested, yes.
Good. Do you have the results of the test?
I have what they mail me is a card that says, you're okay, fine, that you don't need to call us, you don't need to contact us, that you don't need to come in.
Let me see.
Okay, this does not say nothing, but it's a mailer, all right?
Well, it doesn't say anything. What are you giving it to me for?
That's the only thing that I do have. Okay, if otherwise I'd have been notified, say, you know, I'd have gotten a phone call saying, come in, we need to discuss this.
What made you go here for blood tests, sir?
Because I started a new relationship, and I wanted to get tested. I wanted to make sure that, you know, before I have an intimate relationship with anybody, that I do not have a problem.
Well, this is interesting because this was just done in October.
Yes, ma'am, I have a new relationship.
I heard that already. You sound like a
It's-
broken
it
record.
was-
Well, you stopped seeing her in August, right?
A year ago.
A year
A
ago.
year ago.
Right.
Right, so this doesn't tell me anything because I don't know whether you were tested a year ago and were treated during the course of that year for anything. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's been having sex for long before I come around.
And later today,
You're a lying scumbag. Your whole family's that way. Your dad's constantly bails you out. Your whole family is that way.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kelly Atkinson is suing her former boyfriend, Daniel Cope, claiming he gave her a sexually transmitted disease. Daniel says he knows nothing about it.
Mr. Coe, nobody is blameless in this situation. Unfortunately, you are the legal adult and she is the legal minor. And when you fool around with what we used to call, when I was a child, jailbait, you sort of accept the consequences of that, sir. You took out this money. This was your money supposedly for a car,
For
correct?
a car or college, whichever I decided to, that was more
Whatever.
important at the time.
And so far you have medical bills in the amount of $895. I'm giving you a judgment in the amount of $2,895. I'm saying the following to you. You started off your life wrong. You're supposed to be smarter.
Mm-hmm.
You're 17 years old. Your mother is supposed to be smarter. Your mother is supposed to be protective. And as far as I'm concerned, this 15-year-old shouldn't have unfettered control over a substantial bank account. It's her money, but she's still a kid. Fortunately, what was coming out wasn't money to buy drugs or other things, but it could have been. So you got to be very, very careful and very vigilant as a parent these days. I assume your new girlfriend is over the age of 18.
Yes.
Great. That's all.
As I excuse, you may step out. Back there to your right, please.
I thought maybe they'd be good for each other. Maybe she'd help him grow up a little bit and he'd help her grow up a little bit.
And now the next case.
Party's on Lewis versus Lewis. Step forward, please.
Secretary Royce Lewis is suing her 19-year-old stepson, Daniel Lewis, for money she loaned him to buy a stereo when he was 16.
Okay, so that we understand who the cast of characters are in this case. This is your stepson.
Yes.
This is your biological son.
Yes.
Are you still married to his father?
Separated.
Married but separated. Right. Well, a couple of years ago, while you were probably all living together, correct?
Yes.
According to this, you made a loan to these two boys.
Yes.
To go out and buy some stereo equipment. At that time, he was 16.
Yes.
And it was your agreement that when he turned 18, he would pay you back.
Yes.
Turned 18?
Yeah.
What happened?
He never paid me back. The agreement was that when he turned 18, and I didn't ask for interest or anything, and before I gave them both the money, which was cash, I said, this is with the understanding that when you each turn 18 and get your money from your trust account, that you will pay me back the money that I've loaned you. And they both said yes. I said, then go get stereos for your car.
So you got a stereo for your car?
Yes, I did.
And you got one for your car?
Correct.
When did you separate from his father?
About 2.5, maybe 3 months ago.
And it was after that that you filed this lawsuit?
Right. I told him I was going to the time we were together, and he said I couldn't because he's a pastor of a church and it's his son, and I wasn't allowed to. I said he owes me the money and he's not paying it, and you're not doing anything to get it.
Well, but the marriage was already on.
Right.
Going.
No, actually, no, it wasn't.
Well,
but
then I'm going to tell you something. If you threaten to sue your
Well, no,
husband's son, that's a good time for marriage to start to go south.
Well, I didn't threaten immediately. I said somehow something has to happen here. It's not right that he's getting away with all this.
Okay.
Okay. Our agreement, basically there was no agreement. She came up to, I did not ask for the money. I did not ask for anything from her. Me and James were both outside one day. She came right in front of our door. She walked down the stairs and was asking us if we had car stereos and how they worked and all this stuff. And she says, well, do you guys want to go down and get new CD players? And of course, I'm 16 years old. You know, I would love to have a new CD player for my car. So she gave us a blank check, said she told us how much we could spend. Me and James went down, got the same exact CD player. I came home, installed it in my car. Later that night, sitting in my room, she walked through the door and then told me that when I was 18, I could pay her back because I was getting my settlement, okay?
So what did you say to her at that point?
Actually, I never said anything. I never actually said, okay, yes, I will do this, yes, I won't. But the thing is also, even if I had agreed to that, I moved up to Sacramento shortly before I turned 18. When I turned 18, I never heard nothing. To this very day, she has never verbally asked me for that money.
That is a total lie. His dad has talked himself.
Not
talking about his dad. He said to you.
My dad left her 2 months ago, and that is when this is happening. And she's suing 4 of my dad's friends.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have fun in jail because that's where you're going.
Miss Lewis, a minor cannot make a contract. When he was 16 years old, he could not have entered into a contract, either oral or written with you, for anything. And there are times when, if you enter into an agreement when you're a minor, and if you ratify it later when you turn 18 or 21, depending upon the jurisdiction, then it can become enforceable. But he did not do that. He did not ratify it when he became 18. You cannot make a contract with a minor who is 16 and expect it to be enforced in a court. This lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back.
You got my case next, buddy.
Yeah, I've already reported you to Wells
I
Fargo.
really don't care. I really don't care.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You wouldn't have even had that money if it wasn't for me.
I got
said
it
you will
because
pay.
your son can't drive and got in a car accident.
Shut up, you.
Why can't you be a man and pay the money
you
back?
lied to your dad.
Because you can't hold
I
the
lied to my
job.
dad. Yes, you lied to your dad. You said you didn't get the money out of the trust account. I called
Okay,
the bank.
no,
You got it.
yeah,
Then
I
you
did
lied
get it.
and said-
The only thing was
then
I got
you
it
lied
3 months after I turned 18 because I couldn't. But what
because
does
you
that
were
matter?
too stupid to figure out how to get it on your own. I know you can't do contracts with minors. I'm not stupid.
Sauter versus Visner. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am.
Ms. Sauter, according to your papers, you met the defendant in April of
Correct.
1995.
95.
Began dating in May of the same year.
Correct.
And by the middle or the end of the summer, you had loaned him about $1,500.
Thereabouts. Probably more than that, but that's what I'm alleging at this point.
Why?
Well, I met Brian, and we really had a lot of mutual interest together in regards to softball and such. And
You met him at a softball game, according to your papers.
yeah, we played co-rec softball together. Co-rec, men, women. Okay, half-half. All right. And during Memorial Weekend, in fact, we even went on to Chicago for the weekend and had a great time. Came back, and Brian really, truly, I knew was going through a lot of hard times. He had gone through several jobs, different changes in jobs. Brian has 2 children, great boys, and he was in arrears in regards to child support and is trying to get his feet back on the ground. And I truly believed at that point he was trying hard to get his feet back on the ground in regards to a new job.
But why did you give him money?
Because with his initiative, and I saw his motivation in regards to his job, that possibly, I mean, he promised to pay it back.
What kind of work are you doing?
I was, when I originally met her, I was working for my father in construction. And
That sounds as if it could be a long-term proposition. What happened?
well, we got slow, so I went on to started a maintenance company to do some work, and times were hard, but I never asked for anything.
You took?
No, I never asked for anything.
No,
from
I
her.
didn't say asked. I
She
said,
offered,
but you took.
She offered, I took.
Tell me what you gave him.
Originally, he was asking for little amounts of money, you know, here or there. Hey, 20 bucks, 40 bucks, I'll get it back to the end of the week. Not a problem. I don't even have recollection of that.
Okay.
Okay. The first time really that he asked for a significant amount of money was the end of June. And in fact, I wrote a check out to him, which I have, for $350.
What was that for?
He needed money to pay his July rent in bills.
Is that right, sir?
No.
What do you mean no? It's made out to you.
She gave me cash. She wrote out
She
a
didn't
check, I
get-
cashed it, and I didn't use it for, I never said anything about rent or anything like that.
Well, what'd you use it for?
Just going out, doing stuff.
What else?
I mean, he didn't even have money to go to work. Okay, so I didn't want that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because for him, for his kids, you know, my good heart that I wanted
And
to
you
help
thought
him.
you had a future together.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Right. You know, and things were going good.
Okay.
You know, that I thought, that I knew.
Your
And so at that point, I extended out an Amico credit card to him. And I said, here, Brian, now listen, anything that you use, it's your responsibility. Okay, we're going to get through the tough times, but here's the card. I'm keeping track, you keep track, and let's go with it.
Mm-hmm.
He went with it. He went all out on it.
You mean you had the Amico company put a credit card in his name?
He was an authorized signer on my account.
Oh, okay.
Which ended real quick.
Not quick enough, according
Correct.
to your complaint.
Correct.
How much did he charge up on your credit card?
$700 on the credit card.
Yeah, okay. According to your complaint, there came a time when you told him, hey, Brian, give me back the credit card. Right. I'm ripping it up.
Correct.
Cutting it in half. You're not entitled
Yes.
to it anymore. Don't use it anymore.
Right.
When was that?
I threw an extravagant birthday party for him. Just a gala event. Blackjack tables, kegs of beer, decorations, food, okay? We were having a good time, you know, people were having a great time.
So what
All of a sudden, I looked, he's gone. He left. He left his own party. Left his van there, okay? And went with a bunch of his friends and took off.
Okay,
Didn't
so you
hear
got,
from him.
So you got angry, and that's when the romance was over.
Correct. That was it. That was the final straw.
All right. When did you get your credit card back?
The next day, I called Amico, and I said, no more. All right? I called him, and I said, Brian, no more. And
But did he continue to charge on your credit card after that?
He continued to charge after I found that Amico received a phone call, and he continued authorized service on my card after he got my Social Security number.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Did you continue to use the card after she told you not to?
I went up to the pump to use it, and it was done. And I couldn't use it anymore, and then I threw it away.
Listen.
There was never a call from.
Listen.
Yes.
I asked you a simple question. After she told you not to use the card anymore, which was after your birthday party in July of '95?
Correct.
You continued to use the card.
From what I recollect is that it was not right after my birthday. It was it had to be 3 weeks to a month later.
Had you been dating each other during that 3 or 4 week period?
She had got me into a golf tournament.
After your birthday?
After my birthday.
Can I see the Amico bills,
yes.
please?
They start from 7/21 on.
And my birthday's 7/18.
Sir, you used this card until the end of December.
That's when I got a call that it was done. That's when she called me to tell me it was done. It wasn't in July
even
or
according
August.
to you, sir, it was maybe 3 or 4 weeks after your birthday party in July. That would bring us up into August. You used her card big time. September, October, November, December. That's outrageous. Why did you do that?
I don't know.
Well, it was wrong.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Friday night softball games, I'd go into my bag after softball was done, and there'd be $200 or $300 in there. In an envelope.
And later
Well,
today,
now you'll know better. You don't move in with somebody unless you love them, unless you're prepared to have aggravation.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. After Mary Sauter met Brian Visner playing softball, he borrowed money and used her credit card. They split. Now she wants the money back.
Why do you think you don't owe her this money? So far, we're up to $1,050.
Why don't I think I owe her the money? It's because she had done things through this whole relationship. The trip to Chicago was just I came home from work on a Saturday, and she called that Saturday afternoon and said, "You want to go to Chicago? I'm buying. Let's go have some fun." I said, "Well,
Fine.
you know."
Wait, I didn't even talk about Chicago. I'm talking about the $350 she gave you for rent.
I have no clue what that was for. I mean, I don't think it was for rent. I really don't.
I don't care if you bought $350 worth of bubble gum with it. The idea is she gave you the money. What you did with it is your business. I'm sure she didn't give you this check because you said, "I want to buy bubble gum." She gave you this check because you said you were in dire straits for money.
I was really never in dire straits for money. I was always working. I always had money.
All right. I'm up to $1,050, madam.
Yes.
You have any other checks that you say
Yes,
that
I
you
did.
can prove? Debt?
Yes. This is the other check that I have this is for cash. And he went to the bank with me because he didn't have a bank account, and I got straight cash for him.
Do you remember that, sir?
No, I don't.
Remember what this was for?
Cash.
I mean, but what did he need the money for in June? June 8th?
Probably like what he did on the Amico card, cigarettes and whatever else he had. I mean, if he says he's having money on his own, I have no idea. He went out to the, I like to gamble too, but he's out to Mystic Lake, a gambling facility, when he doesn't even have money. He's probably using my money to gamble with.
Well, the memo on this, sir, is clearly, it says for you for cash.
I make all notes on
I'm
my
sure
checks.
it does. She probably wrote it out, cashed it, got the cash, and put that on there. That's fine. I don't remember receiving a check for that or
You
any
didn't get a
cash for
check for
that.
cash. You mean to tell me you have no memory of getting cash from her?
Not for that. No.
For what?
For any. I mean, I do remember getting cash from her at other times.
Like how much?
Friday night softball games. I'd go into my bag after softball was done, and there'd be $200, $300 in there, in an envelope. I never asked for it, and she put her name on there. Yes, this is for me. So I'd take it. I'd spend it. I don't say what I did was right. It was wrong. But,
I've been a judge for a long time. What always strikes me as being interesting, for want of a better word, is that there are usually more women standing in your place and usually more men standing in his place than there are vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
When are women going to wise up?
I have.
When are women going to wise up? You don't know somebody 4 weeks and then give them money.
I have. I mean, I've been guilty of it for all my whole life. I was a good heart. That was it. And I've learned.
You ought to stop.
Well, believe me, I have
Honor.
a fiance now that gives me money, and we have everything together.
Your Honor.
What?
I'm not the first person that she's done this to. There's 3 or 4 other guys before me that she's done the same thing
You mean
for.
been very generous with?
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this
Very
question.
generous.
So when did you find that out?
After I started seeing Mary. After,
What? You mean in May?
Well, maybe a few weeks after that.
A few weeks
after the trip,
All right.
after the trip to Chicago.
Hey, talking. A few weeks after that, I want you to tell me how it came about that you found out that she had been generous with men friends before.
Other guys on the softball team that we played on.
And I usually don't accept hearsay, but the conversation was you going out with Mary and she's pretty generous with her money?
The conversation was, what did you do last week? And I said, Mary took me to Chicago. Well, she
Yeah.
likes to do that for the guys that she's seeing. She likes to spend money on them and treat them nice.
How lovely.
Your Honor?
Don't say anything else.
Okay.
Don't say anything else with the exception of learning the words, like almost like a mantra. I'm sorry I don't lend money to people that I know for such a short time.
Guilty.
Right. Guilty. Guilty. You owe her $1,500. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She said a lot of things. I took advantage of her, and I don't disagree with that. That's what Mary does for a living. She sues people.
And now the next case.
Parties on Magid versus Miller. Step forward, please.
27-year-old Sandy Majid is suing her roommate John Miller, claiming he was violent and verbally abusive.
How long did you know each other before you decided to room together?
10 years.
Why did you decide to room together?
Because we were friends, and he needed to move out of his place because he had a dog, and I moved out of my parents' house.
You weren't romantically involved, you were just friends.
Right.
Now, under this rather bizarre arrangement, reading the complaint, you were supposed to perform certain maid services in the house, like keeping the house nice and clean, doing the cleaning, the cooking, the washing, etc. And he would pay all of the expenses, with the exception of your phone bill. Is that the idea?
And the rent. I paid rent.
And you paid the rent, but he would pay everything else.
Yeah, but that only lasted for 2 months. And then we talked about it, and it wasn't working, so we each decided to
After 8
take
months.
care of our own thing.
I paid all the bills for 8 months.
But, he wouldn't clean up after himself if he left something. He'd just leave the sauce on the table. He wouldn't do normal maintenance. He'd give his dog a shower and have hair all over the place and water all over the floor. I mean, he didn't even pick up after himself.
It's not true.
Right! And I got one of those home.
Yeah.
And I pay half the rent.
Yeah.
Miss Majid, I don't like cleaning up after my husband, and I love him. You made an arrangement to clean up after this man, and after a while, you didn't even like him. Not too smart.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Can I talk about the pain and suffering?
No.
Okay,
You don't,
and
sir,
then
you don't look like you're in pain, and you don't look like you're
mental
suffering
anguish.
anymore.
If I
Mental
told you
anguish.
what she
Oh.
put me through.
Oh, God.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sandy Majid is suing her former roommate, John Miller, for verbal abuse and destruction of property. John is countersuing for mental anguish.
It's always smart for women to pay their own way.
But we have...
If you, listen to me, if you pay your own way, then you don't have to take anybody's guff. Right, Bert?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so he didn't clean up after himself.
And I cleaned for about 2 months, and then I paid the other half of the bills.
It was only the utility bills. I would pay all the utility bills if she would do the cleaning, because I paid Sandy in my last apartment $50 to clean the place.
And I
And she
did.
did a great cleaning job. That's why I thought I'd work out this deal with her. The place would stay clean, and I would pay all the bills.
Well, stay clean is one thing, but you can't be.
No, I
when she
wasn't
says you
over
were
it.
being
No, she would
small.
never clean. Nothing.
Huh?
That's
She
not
never
true.
cleaned a thing.
All right, so you should have moved that after 2 months. You should have gone your own separate ways after 2
Yeah,
months.
well, we were
Would
friends
you-
for 10 years.
Would you mind telling me what you're suing each other for? You have a suit, you have a
Yeah.
countersuit. You want to tell me what you're suing him for?
I'm suing for my print and my frame here because he threw something at it and broke it.
Can I see it? He admits that he threw something at it and broke it, right?
Yeah.
Why were you mad at her
Well,
picture?
that was the last straw. That was when I had paid all the bills and done the cleaning. Her dog had chewed up my sofa, and then I gave her all the money to pay the bills, and she went on vacation with the money, and I got disconnect notices. I had to pay the bills again. When I called her up and told her, she says, "What do I care if they were turned off? I'm moving out anyways." A moment later, when I hung up the phone, that's when I smashed the picture.
All right, so
And she
you
was
smashed
moving
the
out.
picture, but that's just the glass on the picture.
That's
Madam.
right.
No, it's also that there's scratches on the print.
Would you
and
show
the-
me where, please?
Right there. And right here, it devalued the thing, and right, it messed up the mat.
Well, the mat
and
is-
the frame is all scratched.
Just a second. How much did you pay for that?
For the frame and the picture.
For everything.
$920.
$920?
Yeah.
Where did you buy that?
At the Wing Gallery.
Do you like this picture, sir?
Yeah.
Give it to him.
Yeah, you can have it.
All right.
All right. What else are you suing him for?
All right.
I'm
Here's
also
a couple
suing
bucks for it.
for
feel like I'm running a tag sale here.
The last month and a half of rent, because I wasn't there, because he was throwing things and being angry.
Just a second. Did you leave?
Yes.
You don't get that. What's next?
I had to pay for the last months of rent, and I wasn't even staying there.
But you left. I mean, you agreed to rent this apartment together, right?
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
So you have a responsibility to pay until the end of your lease. So that you don't get.
It was
What else are you
months
suing
and
for?
Pain and suffering, because, I mean, he would just verbally abuse me, and...
You're not married to each other if you're not getting along with your roommate. Then
But,
you're
I
not
mean,
getting
you know,
along with
he
your
would leave
roommate.
that place a mess constantly. I mean, it was just like I couldn't win.
Well, now you'll know better. You don't move in with somebody unless you love them, unless you're prepared to have aggravation.
But I couldn't stay there because I
You
was,
say you
I
couldn't
was
stay there.
afraid
You
to
don't
stay
like.
there.
You weren't getting along, madam. You weren't getting along. You knew each other for 10 years.
He
You
was
weren't getting along. You
throwing
moved out.
stuff and yelling.
Oh God. What are you suing her for, sir?
She was supposed to clean the house, which she didn't do. So I'm suing $640, which is half the utility bills, which I should get back.
Because you don't like the way she kept the house.
She didn't clean the place at all. I would do any cleaning.
Good. That's why you're not together anymore,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so
All
that's
right.
part of mine.
Just a second. What's the other part? Your pain and suffering. I saw your pain and suffering too. Everybody's got pain and suffering.
That's really a big part of my case.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Sir, you don't look like you're in pain, and you don't look like you're suffering
Mental anguish.
anymore.
If I
Mental
told you
anguish.
what she
Oh.
put me through, can I mention a few things?
Mention a few things.
Okay, let's put it this way. After she lost her job, she had a really bad mental breakdown. She went to counseling on Prozac. Next thing I know, every time I would take a shower, she'd run the hot water in the kitchen, so I wouldn't have any hot water.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, just like you told me to lock your mother in the walk-in closet.
All right. Mr.
Okay.
Miller, is
I
there
have a
anything
lot
else
of
you
little
want?
things like that are sad and ridiculous, you know.
Sounds like what married people do to each other.
Yeah.
Your countersuit is dismissed, sir. You just bought a picture for $920. Judgment in the case is for the plaintiff. Hang the picture, put a piece of glass. It's really very nice.
All right.
Parties are excused. You may step out. I'll back up to your right, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She didn't keep her end of the agreement. You know, I'm paying all the bills, and she's turning the place into a pigsty. She was continuing cleaning other people's homes. She said, I have to clean that person's home for $50. Then she wanted me to pay her to clean up her own mess.
I don't hate him. We just didn't get along as roommates.
Yeah, sometimes happens when you live together, but it's sad after 10 years of friendship to come down to this.